Wait. Hold on here. Is this the barbershop? Is this the barbershop?
Yes, it is.
It's the barbershop. Wait, I mean, we can't talk straight in the barbershop. Then where can we talk straight? We can't talk straight nowhere else. You know, this ain't nothing but healthy conversation. That's all.
You gotta tell you, hold the park down.
Fred, ain't nobody exempt in the barbershop. You know that. Ain't nobody exempt. You can talk about whoever and whatever, whenever you want to in the barbershop.
Why you gotta tell?
All right, we are back, man. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So Lost in Translation was about to cook, man. And so 100 Watts had a question. And so Lost in Translation was about to answer. Go ahead, my guy.
What was your question, 100 Watts?
The summation of the question was basically, do we think differently of men that have multiple baby mamas?
I'll put it to you like this. Guys who have multiple kids like that, you know, that's really on the women. You know what I'm saying? To tell you the truth, to be honest. Because they know full well when they laid down with that guy, that was not her husband. You know, if you really, really want support, you would make sure that the guy that you choose to be your kid's father would be husband material. You know what I'm saying? Be father material. You know, most of the time when these women get guys, they want street hustlers, thugs, you know, exciting guys. You know what I'm saying? Well, guess what? You got Mr. Exciting when it comes to feed your kids. You know what I'm saying? You got Mr. Exciting who shows up whenever he feels like it. You know, you got Mr. Exciting who talks to you any old kind of way you feel like you want to get talked to. So my thing is, what you invest in is what you get. You know, my whole thing is, if you want somebody who's been who wants to be a good father, you will find somebody who actually studied who wants to be a father, that they came from a long line of fathers, and that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? They were actually taught how to be fathers. And they know what goes into being a father. You know, you would invest in the men who your children would be proud to call dad. Am I not right?
Facts.
I think that's how that works. You know what I'm saying? And I think what happens is if they can cook up these fantasies about the type of man that want them, I'm pretty sure they can cook up a fantasy about the type of man that needs to be the father of their children. You know, I mean, if we call them a spade, you know, that's just one of them things. Now, you already know there's always going to be some men out here who's going to do what they're going to do. And there's always going to be some women who go out there who let them do what they do. Well, guess what? Consequences, you know, is a part of the equation as well, too, you know. Now, I know for a fact that, you know, the rain falls on the just and the unjust. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, you reap what you sow. That's how I look at it.
Church.
The reason I asked that question is I try to add certain elements of black men into the conversations that we have, because I want to make sure that there are certain demographics of black men that do understand that, like, you're not just stuck in a box, or you not, like, you don't have to just think that you just the bottom of the barrel type shit. Like, because I personally, I think about like what my place in the dating marketplace what my position in the dating marketplace would be when I do consider that I do have children with two separate women. I physically only have custody of two of them. The other two still live with their mother. You know, I don't make a certain amount of money. You know what I'm saying? My education is a high school diploma. Like, when I start thinking about certain things and where I fall into the dating marketplace, and like just have an understanding, like, I don't fall into the same place as a college educated man who doesn't have any children, never has been married. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have that understanding to know that I don't fall into that place. So just making sure that there are certain demographics of black men, like, look, my G, like you might not be in that place, but you are still a valuable part of the dating marketplace. Like, I don't want certain black men thinking that they don't have a chance to find somebody or to be able to attach to something, like, because the way that people speak about niggas like me, like, I'm technically what the internet would call a Pookie and a Ray Ray. And the way that niggas speak about Pookies and Ray Rays is diabolical, because you gentlemen here on this panel have had multiple conversations with me to know that I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? And I think that there are many men that have had that are probably considered Pookies and Ray Rays just based on their situation, but are possibly more intelligent than their actions may lead. You know what I'm saying?
Brother Watts,
Let me ask
is
you
that your children out here in the background?
That's what I'm talking. I hear kids.
Yes, there's two of them right now. Yeah.
Your children.
That's
You're C, right? You're not a Pookie or a Ray Ray.
You're not a Pookie, man. You taking care of your kids. We can hear your kids in the background. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you a question. Are your kids proud that you're their dad?
I'm gonna be honest with you and answer that question and say that I question that with my oldest because she's not with me. I question that with her. She's a teenager now, so she's the teenager now, so she's in that space where I think she probably that it might be some pushback there. But my youngest, my 5-year-old, like this little motherfucker be waiting for me to walk in the house. She's been waiting for me to come home.
I'm gonna tell you a little trick with the teenagers, man. They're gonna be a little unbalanced, man, because of what they're going through with the hormones and stuff. So take that stuff they say with a grain of salt, but I'll show you when they get older, they're gonna say, "Hey, Dad, thank you, man, for being there for me." They're not mature enough to vocalize that right now, but I assure you, I've seen that happen more times in the life. So don't beat yourself up about that one. But as far as the little kids are concerned, man, as long as they happy, man, hey, you straight, you doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, man. And brother Watts, I am in the same situation. I'm always talking about my daughter. My daughter's with me. I have a son. Right now, my plan, even though my head wasn't right, I was trying to change the game. I was trying to turn a 304 into a housewife, knowing it was wrong, knowing it couldn't be done, but my head wasn't right. And I went against my own rules. I was out there in the trenches. I was out there moving in the world. My head wasn't right. You're going to make mistakes. I'm not going to say it was a mistake. Things are going to happen. And we all know, like once your semen leaves your body, you're along for the ride, bro. You have no say in our society. Right? It is what it is. And so when I look at my situation, I look in the mirror and anybody asks me, they want to talk bad about the women or this or that, or talk bad about society and the court system. I'm like, I'm the reason I'm here. I did it. I take full responsibility for my actions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pushing forward. And the mission is to do the best that I can. Now, that meant I had to make a serious decision because I was dealing with the worst type of woman. People like to talk about how bad black women are and the stereotypes and all that. Like my daughter's mom is Latina. My son's mom is black. The race has nothing to do with it. My son's mom has issues. She ain't right. And we live in a society where people like that can use society as a weapon, use the child as a weapon to try to get what they want, which is basically control. And I had to make a decision. And my decision was I need to be here for my daughter, right? Because I know my son is going to seek me out. It's just a matter of time. Boys find their fathers. And when he does, and thanks to technology, it ain't hard. You know what I mean? All you got to do is type in DL Saint. He might have a little girlfriend like, oh, you don't know who your daddy is? Here he is right here. He talking about you. Right? It's when my son see this out, I can be able to tell him, I love you. I fought hard, real hard, but I couldn't beat the system. We were in California. I have the documents to prove it. I have the court records. I have all the text messages and everything. Now, the thing is, I don't want to turn him against his mom. His mom has no problem turning him against me, but I don't want to turn him against his mom because I need to lead from the front. Right? So this is all the kind of stuff. And I bet you, brother, you're probably doing something similar. You're fighting for your children. You're out here doing the stuff. To me, that makes you a real man and the type of leadership we need out there. People can learn from our stories, not a struggle, but our story. This is what happened, right? It's how it works in the military and the army. Somebody gets jacked up in the army. Like I was a paratrooper. If you get jacked up on a jump and say you all messed up, they have you passing out parachutes. So everybody else like, hey, pay attention. You're going to wind up like this dude. And that's where I am with it. Pay attention to what I did so you don't end up having to deal with these things. And like I said, I'm not religious because I think religion is of man and man is corrupt. But I am spiritual and I believe in the lessons that I was taught growing up in the small church, like Brother Loss was talking about. I really got the message. I understand that, Jesus wasn't riding around in a chariot or on a litter with bling bling and all that. In fact, he was in the church. He not destroyed, but went in and chastised the people, right. the money changers. So what would he do today? Boy, he would be all over these preachers and these mega churches, ripping them apart. I believe in that. I believe that there is something that I can't comprehend in this form that's pushing me a certain way and keeping me safe. I could tell you stories of how I should not be here, brother. I could tell you 5 stories right now of how I should not be here, right? But I'm here. So I'm gonna continue to do what we're trying to do. That's why I'm on this platform. That's why I have a platform, that I'll talk to any man, woman, child, whoever who will listen, because in order for us to take back our community, in order for us to move forward as a society, we need strong leadership. That's why I jumped on the panel at first, man. I'm like, man, y'all got the perfect conversation going on. We need strong male leadership. And I think we're going to get there, but we got some more rough road ahead.
Absolutely. R-Pain, you want to add something to the flavor?
No, I do, hear where 100's coming from and what DL just said. Listen, man, I think maybe sometimes we overuse the term Pookie and Ray Ray, but if you're taking care of anything in your life, for your family, and you have care and you're doing all that, that's not what we consider Pookies and Ray Ray. For sure. We're talking about guys who just going through life doing their own thing and they don't care about nobody else. But and I think when I answered your question, I really believe that if you look at numbers, men who spread their seed willy-nilly and have multiple baby mothers and they're not doing anything to take care of them. Now, I understand alienation. That happens. That's different. But, you impact a lot of families if you're a reckless man. You really do. And the only thing I give women, and the only thing is true, that men know how to talk them out of their panties. But that doesn't absolve them. But we know how to do that, but that doesn't absolve them from actually giving it up, And I think that's where, when it's fatherlessness, that aids to it because they don't know how to resist that kind of bullshit love. So anyway, but other than that, we just go through life. But getting back on the topic of today, I just think, and I just keep saying this, I think we give women in general too much energy to feed their psychosis as men. Sometimes it's inevitable. I mean, if you're on a panel and you hear bullshit, you should be able to argue against it. But a lot of times I hear these panels where the men are just shaking their head and women are just spewing all kinds of horse shit. And the guy's just like, yeah, whether they're afraid to protect themselves or just don't want to get into an argument, it's just frustrating. But I think if you're on the outside looking in, somehow you have to guard yourself from getting upset over that shit. And because I used to tell guys that I don't watch certain kind of programs if I can't say what I need to say at the time when I hear some bullshit, because then you internalize it and then you carry that shit with you. That's just no good. You know what I'm saying? So I just say you got to guard what you let into your spirit. And that's words as well. So when you hear women talk bullshit, if you're just looking at a panel, I don't dwell on those kind of panels so I can get upset. I might hear some shit. Sometimes I say, man, this is too much, because I can't participate. So I don't need to hear anymore. Then I try to move on, So I try to guard myself from the bullshit.
Brother Payne, you know why those guys just listen to the women and don't correct them or anything. You know why they do it. It's not because they're afraid of them. The reason they do it is because they want to smash, and they're going to slide into that woman's DM later and try to fly her out. That's why. I mean, that's just, just keeping it 100.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but a lot of those guys, some of those guys ain't getting no booty either because they're the way they are.
Well, facts, but they're still going to try. That's their way of trying.
Yeah, I mean, that's their way of trying, which is infuriating, but still, you just want to, but anyway, but I had enough. I said enough. I said my little piece. You just go ahead. Well, Ferg, man, you back up here, man. What you got to say, man? We got any more clips? I mean, Dr. Brian made a fool of herself tonight too. So, the other night too, with my man putting her in her place, Paul Pierce. That was really good, man. That was satisfying. He said, that was satisfying. He said, "Oh, so you just talking? You just banging you out? That's what."
So you just the work. You just
you just that shit was pretty good. Yeah, that's the guy. And Paul Pierce didn't give a shit. He had little red pajamas on and shit.
Yeah, But the thing about it is, most people don't challenge these folks, man, on these shows. It's always one side or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Nobody challenges their BS. Just like this girl got up here and said, "Well, what if I make 350? Well, but you don't."
What else?
You know what I'm saying? Let's call a spade, but you don't. You know, you probably make 30,000 like everybody else. You know, that's why you on these shows now trying to get a little extra paper. You know what I'm saying? So let's call a spade, and let's add the real stuff up, because you can't add up fake money. You know what I'm saying? Let's be like, well, you know, I'm gonna go buy this mansion with this, you know, this $35, but you know, I'm gonna pretend it's 35 million. You know, I'm gonna go down to the bank, I'm gonna slide that $35 across county like to get that $35 million house.
Hey, bro, it's one thing I am noticing. This conversation, you know, like, because you guys know of the manosphere, the red pill, and all that stuff, right? So
Yes.
I didn't find out about that till, you know, like a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. And now what I'm seeing, I said it back then, I'm like, this is going to be mainstream. This is going to become a mainstream topic, and look where it is now. It is mainstream, right? Like,
But
you got The View talking about this. You got Professor Scott Galloway talking about this. You have all of the major YouTubers talking about this. And why are people talking about it, especially in the developed world, like the first world, like, you know, UK here, Canada, you know, Australia, New Zealand? They're talking about this because their societies are crumbling. Something needs to change.
Yeah.
Right? The Democrats lost an election, you know, against a guy that they thought in their wildest dreams would never be realected. Why did they lose? Because the Democrats turned on men.
That's right.
Yeah,
They turned
always
on
turned
men.
Yeah. They did. They shamed us. They shamed us, and and this is why I'm saying, you know, Paul Pierce is doing the average man the greatest favor. He's a guy, multi-million-dollar man, played in the NBA.
Hopefully.
Has success. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's just say, but he fits the profile of what they all want to achieve in a man. He fits that profile, but he's holding them accountable in real time. See, they come up in these spaces and thinking that they can flex because they done scammed their way to the top and got a little.
He certainly did for Cam Newton. He certainly was better than Cam Newton.
Yeah, but they got their first little $10,000 check from YouTube, and now he's still letting them know what the reality is, and his voice I think will resonate with young men. I'm gonna say this till women are underestimating the young brothers today. Because the young brothers are letting them know, we ain't chasing your cat. We'll pay for it. And the women, are only thing they seem to be able to offer is that. And they see that the brothers ain't keep sweating it no more. They sort of like, you know what? I'd rather take my chances other places. And you hear these women who have now gotten to 38, 44, 45. They trying to have these young girls have a whole different message. Don't leave a man alone. Go off to your own self. No, they're giving them bad advice.
Oh, no doubt.
So it's unfortunate that the sisters, a lot of sisters are willing to take down everything around them.
But Coach Ferg, you know why they're giving that bad advice to those young women? And this is my theory. You guys can disagree with me if you want, but these older women are still competing with the young, beautiful women.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
100%.
So you're going to tell them, nah, leave him alone. You don't need him. You can do good.
And
all
they'll
you
circle
don't
back.
need to be independent. Yes, because she want to get it.
She's too young for you anyway.
Because when Paul Pierce or any top tier man come walking in the door, all the women be sitting there with their tails wagging because they want to holler at dude. And she knows she can't compete with her 20-year-old self. And that's what it boils down to. So they ain't no love in that game for women. They cutthroat. So again, this is why this is mainstream now, you know, and these young girls and young men, but the young girls in particular, they're watching the older women. And they're like, you saying all this stuff and you at home with all your money, all your Birkin and Kelly bags and Chanel, and your red bottoms, your nice car, and you're sitting there crying, feeding your cat. And these girls don't want that. They're like, you know what? I want a husband. I want some kids. Right. So I think we're going to witness a transition.
Salute to the young sisters, man.
You know what the killer part about is, DL, here's the problem. The older women ain't playing fair. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. They'll sit up there and they'll tell these young girls, you don't want no man to do this. He got to pay your bills. And they'll turn right back around and knock on your door. I got to pay yams for you, baby. And some mashed potatoes. Because they already learned a long time ago to get to a man's heart is through his stomach. And they won't tell that part of the game. They'll sit up and say, you tell him you ain't going to be no slave. You ain't going to cook and you ain't going to clean. and that automatically disqualifies her. So she'll turn right back around. I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring and all this other stuff. And next thing you know, they in the bathroom mopping the floor.
Yeah, just watching Cardi B.
Wiping off the
Cardi B
bath.
tell her she ain't gonna cook and she ain't gonna clean, and there she is at the house cooking, clean, and happy she can be with that ring on, looking after them little kids.
Right. And got the pots and stuff going on, got the cooking rocking, you know what I'm saying? But they ain't gonna never tell that side of the story. That part of the game is meant to be sold and not told, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But isn't it our role, if we're gonna step up as men, especially as black men in our community, and isn't it our role to not only help these young men and set the example, but also guide these young women? Is the problem that the women just won't listen? What's the issue?
The killing part.
I think the problem is young men.
The women listen in private. They don't want to be shamed in public. Because trust me, it's a whole lot easier to lead them in private than to lead them in public. Because in private, they can acquiesce and not be judged. But when you try to check them in public, that's when they act a fool. And you don't tell me what to do. And next thing you know, you get in private, baby, I like how you rub my back. You want me to fix you a sandwich? You want me to bring you a warm towel? You know what I'm saying? After you went in there, and did your thing, I'm going to bring you back a warm towel. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. Man. Trust me, what they say in public is totally different what they say in private. And anybody who's been around long enough already know what the deal is.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, 100.
I really think the biggest problem is what DL was talking to earlier, is about young men thinking they're gonna use the D to Captain Save a hoe. Like thinking you're gonna stroke crazy out of somebody. I really think that's the problem. And some of that do come from that. For me, some of that came from the older men that I was talking to was giving me bullshit game. I personally think. I think there were a lot of older men that were giving me bullshit game in terms of how to deal and interact with women, and the way that they approached it. I can't attach myself to it because a lot of it was trying to save somebody. Hey man, just pay the girl a little phone bill or something. She gonna, pay the girl a little, give her a little bit of groceries. Yeah, like these old niggas trying to get me to trick my way through into making her love me and get out of her ways and get out of the streets and shit like that. We have to do better with how we're communicating what these young men are supposed to be doing, because something that I have been saying for a while on YouTube that I will continue saying is if you can control your dick and your diet, everything else falls into place.
We need to make a whole show out of that shit right there. We need to make a show out of those two things, right? Your dick and your diet, because we can go a long way with just those two things if men had that shit under control. But just saying what you were saying, Watts, I had the thread in my head about women, guys with one of the things is guys don't know how to let go. They see a woman, like you said, it's not just where you want to, curry favor with her, but when we don't pay attention to the discriminators that eliminate the women off rip. We just don't. If they say something real goofy to tell you exactly who they are, a lot of guys, if she's pretty, they're going to keep pursuing it. And they may pursue it to the point where they put themselves in a trick bag, and that's the problem. Some women you're just supposed to just walk away from. Like, for example, and maybe it's not the same thing. My only analogy is if you're going to get into a political conversation with somebody, you could just ask them a couple of questions and know whether you should do it or not. Do you think a guy putting on a dress makes him a woman? If that person says yes, then what's the sense of having a fucking conversation with that person? What else can you actually say that's going to make a difference in this conversation? If a person thinks a man who just one day wakes up and puts on a dress thinks he's an actual full-fledged woman, or vice versa, so I'm saying, so the conversation is this person is somebody that this kind of debate is not even worth it. And so sometimes when you're looking for a woman, I think it's the same thing. Sometimes they'll say shit like, here's one thing. I'm not like that. I'm not this pretty boy, but I can sit there here and say, I reach 67 and I've never gave a woman a fucking dime just because she told me I should to talk to her. Not one goddamn dime. I mean, when I hear these women telling guys, you know, you're going to pay for this and that just so you can meet me and talk to me, I'm going crazy here. I said, where? I mean, and everybody said, well, back then it was different. You don't think men were tricking back then? Yes, they were. Men were tricking when I was young. I just never thought it was some. I mean, I'll take you out to dinner. I'll take you out to lunch.
It was a little bit of shame. It was a little bit of shame involved back then. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of shame.
No, not really. But they had guys tricking back then, man, big time. They did. I'm just saying.
They
tricking, but
alley, you know what I'm saying?
The women understood.
No respect.
Like, no.
You remember back in the day what was the name of that? What was that? No, Full Metal Jacket. What did we get for $10?
Everything
you want. Everything.
Yeah.
We love you long time.
But fellas, everything that I heard always equates back to the default mechanism that can give both young men and young women that true understanding of what it takes to build within a relationship, family, or working hard, working together, contributing to the whole. And it's been over our lifetime, man. This feminist mindset, these laws are feminist laws that we under, it creates the divide. And without the father, most people suffer from the father wound over the last 35 years. It actually was a study in Chicago where they called it that specifically. And it showed most of young people who grew up without a father, their odds of being just living normal lives was under 50%, 30%. They had stats. 1 out of 4 would even make it. That's when they started to say, they'll know if you're going to be a failure by the 3rd grade. Most of those young men and women came from fatherless homes. And even the woman, even though she may not commit crimes or do anything like that, but she may get hooked on drugs. She may have a lot of children out of wedlock. A lot of it stems from the lack of the father. And for the law to change, it's going to take both sides. It's going to have to take both the women of the children, the mothers of the children, and the fathers together to go say, hey, we need to change these laws, because they're not thinking about it's like the generational curse and the lack of generational wealth is caught up in that child support system. I tell my son, if he becomes a single father and today, he's going to fit that bill himself.
Well, if he becomes a single father today, the way the courts are going, like down here in Florida, for instance, now it's a default 50-50 system. So you go into court, you guys were never married. It's a child custody matter. Is the court in Florida states, and this is a new law, it's been in effect for a couple of years now. It's in the child's best interest to have equal access to both parents. So it's 50-50 custody. Now with 50-50 custody, now you done messed up. Drastically changed the potential child support, because child support is based on how much time you don't spend with your child. Yeah. So the pendulum is slowly working its way back. But I did want to speak on the game part, what Brother Payne was talking about. Back in the day, if you was tricking, and by tricking, I mean if you paying a bill, you doing, whatever, buying some groceries, man, you had to keep that hush, bro. That was in the closet with the gay stuff and everything else. You had to keep that in the closet, bro, because you had no respect.
Most stepdaddies was
part of the game, wasn't the DL.
It was not.
Most stepdaddies was tricking, and they was getting big respect. The stepdaddy was the biggest trick in the neighborhood.
Listen, man, I hear what you
was
saying.
understood, man.
Y'all like the stepdaddies.
I'll give you a combination, but there was some guys just tricking, and people, everybody do that shit too. They say, listen, but I hear what you're saying. I'm not going to argue that fact, but I'm just saying it's nothing new about men spending money on chicks.
No,
that's just not new. It's the oldest thing in the book, So we might characterize it a little bit different, like we characterize stepdads different today than we did back then.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a certain type of dude who was okay with that, and I think my personal take on all this, we went wrong as a society with everyone gets a trophy and cheat codes.
That's right.
When they introduced cheat codes into video games, remember when we came up, man, back in the 80s, man, if you want to get to the end of Galaga, you had to get to the end of Galaga. If you want to beat Donkey Kong, you got to keep feeding that machine quarters until you beat Donkey Kong. Now you got the up, down, question mark, whatever button, and you at the end. We've taken away the desire to be a winner.
Yeah, and black
I
men
agree
we
with that.
lose.
I agree with that.
You know, it's crazy. It's crazy you say that. I remember more cheat codes for Grand Theft Auto than I remember phone numbers right now. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Everybody remember the code from Contra.
Salute to the crack era, man. The crack era changed the game, man. Salute to
I remember
the
when I
man.
found out how to break the pattern for Pac-Man and play on
I
that
still
damn
ain't broke the
thing.
pattern.
Oh
Right.
man, shit.
But even with breaking the pattern is not a cheat code.
No,
You had
you
to go do the work. You had to figure that
had to
out.
work for that shit.
It kind of was to say I could have wrote it down. Shit, it would have been a cheat code. I swear, it would have been a cheat code.
But
Hey,
you were
listen,
also socializing. We were also outside. We also had communications outside of a space. You know what I'm saying? Even in our little towns and states we lived in, we were able to enjoy the full city for the most part. We wasn't deleting each other, man.
We was fighting. We weren't deleting each other. We were fighting. It was hands
but
up.
it was finally you fought the dude that y'all had a rivalry in 8th grade. Then you had to fight. After that, y'all was probably the best friends in high school. Now they carrying grudges.
What the fight was about, yeah.
But people are carrying grudges from their childhood all the way through their life, man, and they pushing on everybody, man.
Look at it this way, Trey Ferg. When we was kids, we had kid problems. You know what I'm saying? Now that we're speaking, man, we got mortgages and stuff. Ain't nobody got time to be right beating everybody in the street.
Messing up your leather shoes you just got.
Right.
Speaking of cheat codes, we got JT in the building. Number one cheat code in the building.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, JT?
JT,
nice, man.
You know what I'm saying? What's happening, Mike?
What's popping with you, fellas, man? It's great to see you guys, man. It's great to see each and every one of you.
Oh,
man. Salute.
What's happening, bro?
What's
JT,
good,
you
fam? Good to see you.
saw what was going on earlier, man. I know you missed that. What was your thoughts on that, man?
You speaking on the women that were speaking, or
the ones who was making up stuff? If I make 350,000, he only makes 70. You know, all that old foolishness.
Hey, man, listen. We keep getting older, bro. We as fellas up here, man, we keep getting older, and the craziest part about it is that we keep getting wiser. Yeah. The funniest thing is when we observe life and we observe what we see, it looks more and more goofy, right? And one of the reasons why is because they have no idea on how the world turns. They have no idea on how things end up being, it transforms and changes, right? So that's where wisdom comes from. They don't think that people that are older, that's been on this earth longer than them, are wise. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in wisdom, because this is what we starting to hear. You old. When they say that word, they're saying you're irrelevant. Mm-hmm. They're saying that the things that you say has no value. I had to kind of check my kids, because my children, they was, they're falling into that whole thing. And I know my kids value me and their mom, but their whole thing is this. It's not the same. Like you ain't telling me nothing. You know how many decades I knew that it wasn't the same? You know how many times I understood when people say the world is changing, the world is not the same way. They don't understand it. So when we hear women speaking on that platform, we already understand that first and foremost, being on these panels and looking at panels and things like that, the ones that talk the most are the ones that don't have the knowledge. The women. Mm-hmm. You can't get a word in with them, can you? Can't get a word in. They defending, they're offending, they're saying things, and they're just spouting out stuff. And someone that wants to correct them and say, no, even if it was a woman that wanted to correct them, we see it in real time now. They would sit back and try to correct the one that is actually correcting them now. So when we see it, it's kind of, somebody said it earlier on the panel. I was in the car listening, and they said, no, they're already saying it. What do we have to do? I think it was you, Arpain. It was like we heard this shit over and over and over and over again. I think we're giving ourselves a disservice by giving them the shine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we're going wrong at. The thing is that's why I like doing my shows the way I do it. I make fun of it, I joke on it, and then I move the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? We point it out, we joke on it, then we have our own way of how we speak. We like, that's foolishness. Now this is the way that it should be, and we speak that way because I don't fully understand why the younger generation right now thinks that being older on earth is being irrelevant. I have no idea. I try to talk to the younger folks, but it's very difficult to understand why they say what they say.
You got an answer right here.
Right. But so let me I want his answer, but let me say this. I'm saying this in the simple fact that we were young before, right? It's not like we got on this earth being old, but we understood there was something that the older folks knew that we have no idea about. So we didn't go hard on them the way that the younger generation is going hard on us.
Oh, no, not at all.
So go ahead, Honey Watts. I want to hear this right here. You better make sense out of it too.
So for some of us that are in a generation behind y'all, right? There are some of us that do have some kind of intellectual capacity. Okay. I'm not speaking to the ignorant niggas, the ones that don't leave their block. I'm not speaking to them. Right. But the ones that have an intellectual cognitive ability that are my age and younger. What some of us are running into is we're realizing what the older and wiser people told us that was bullshit, right? Some of us that got our ass beat and heard because I said so, that's bullshit. I think that is a bullshit parenting tactic because I said so. That doesn't give me any ability to know why I shouldn't be making the decision you're telling me not to make. We have been challenging some of what has been taught to us because it has started to feel like either a scare tactic, like there's a lot of because you're black, you got to move this way and all. Like there's a certain way that older black people were trying to raise us to move, and we're just not trying to move that way. A lot of it, and I'm not saying all, of course, just the pushback for the intellectual part is challenging if you actually knew what you was talking about when you was trying to tell me that. Because the truth is, our parents were in their 20s and stupid too when they were trying to teach us. So they didn't know everything at the time when they were trying to teach us shit. But now that you're 40 and now that you're 50, you're wiser. But when I was 10 and you were 25, you didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. So that's why where that pushback comes from. Now I do get you. Some kids just hard-headed as fuck and just don't listen. Because we was all hard-headed as fuck and didn't listen until we got our ass beat enough times and had a mama go, grandma tell you go pick a switch enough times for you to learn. These kids don't get ass whoopings no more. So their learning process just takes a little bit longer. So you're gonna have a few young people that's gonna not believe what you're saying and say what you're saying is a lie and just have to go bump their head because they're not getting their ass beat no more. They have to bump their head because they're not getting ass whoopings no more.
Yeah, my daughter wish she didn't get no ass whoopings.
Let me ask you a question. What if I told you there was a certain wisdom in because I told you so? Would you believe me?
That doesn't give that child any ability to develop a thought process.
I just
that don't do shit.
What if there's a certain wisdom in because I told you so? Would you believe me? Yes or no?
As a child, no.
Okay, let me ask you this. In the Bible, it says that obedience is better than sacrifice, right? Say, for instance, if I don't teach my child to heed when I call immediately, that can endanger them. Say, for instance, they're running around outside in the streets or whatever. And I say, hey, stop what you're doing to come here. And they'll be like, well, I really don't think that you know what you're talking about. Next thing you know, they get ran over by a truck or a car. Now, who was at fault? Me for not teaching them to hear what I had to say or them for not listening? Like I said, sometimes our parents' vantage point is a little bit different from ours. And sometimes there is wisdom in because I told you so.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's great.
I don't disagree with you. At the wisdom that I have now, I don't
Parents
disagree
know
with you.
kids'
But when you're
attention span
talking
is
to
short.
a 14, I know, but
Yeah.
when you're talking to a 14-year-old, you can't think that because I said so is going to get you the result that you're looking for.
That's not true. That's not true, because that's why I have a problem with you guys thinking that y'all can be you can skip the fucking traits. Wisdom is not something you can buy. It is not something somebody can give you. It is something that you have to earn. And the only way that you can earn wisdom is to live. And while you're living, you have to observe. You have to take things, and you have to be able to decipher things based off of critical thinking. That's the problem that we have with you guys when you say you're old and you're just knocking that out. That's crazy. So when Lost just asked the question, I'm going to let you go, DL. Lost just asked the question, would you just rather go to obedience? And you said, no. This is the problem we have. There's a time where you have to learn that some things at certain times, it's just not your business. It ain't your business. It ain't your business to figure out why. Young people, and I say this all the time, young people have to listen to older folks. Older folks have to listen to younger folks. The reason being is that when we're talking and we listening to one another and having conversation, we make each other become a little faster in the levels that we are in life. This is how this shit works. But to call somebody old and say, fuck what you talking about, old nigga, old broad, all that shit, you just knocked all that shit out. You knocked it all out and you just stumped yourself. And guess what you call yourself? You need to call yourself anyway. Handicap.
But JT, you are old. You are old, JT. I mean, I'm just saying.
you run along with me.
I am. I'm a 55-year-old
hey,
man.
Look, we would talk about each other like that, won't we? You're old as hell.
Yep. But I
we
mean,
understand it.
I'm happy I made it here. I'm 55 years old, but brother 100, I get where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I believe what we're talking about now, parenting techniques. So what Brother Loss is saying is 100% factual. Like you have to teach your children when they're young to heed your voice. Why? Because a lot of women, let's say we have a traditional household. You got mom and you got dad. You got mom and you got dad, right? And we're adhering to traditional roles. Mom tends to be a little more in the emotions and she's a little softer, and you know what I mean? But dad has that voice. So when you got a situation when your child is chasing that ball into the street and mom screams, stop. Well, mom is lovey-dovey, fun, and this and that. The child might not stop right away. When dad says stop, child hits the brakes. You need that. So you have to figure that part out. Like I had when my daughter was young, I was that. You know, she got her little spankings. It's not like it hurt. She had on Pampers and all that, but you know, it was just the loudness and everything. And when Papa talks, she would listen.
Yeah.
And I'll share this story with you. Went to pick up my daughter, transfer, co-parenting with mom at this church. Her mom was at the Scientology church. That's another story for another day. But I go up there, I park, and I can hear my child going ham. My little toddler daughter is terrorizing these white folks up in LA. Terrorizing. I can hear it. Like, damn, that is my baby. So I'm walking down the steps. I'm following her voice. It's getting louder and louder. And it's like a little common area where people are supposed to be, reading. It's supposed to be quiet. And there's her mother sitting there. And my daughter was, running around the tables, pushing the tables, knocking shit down, throwing her hand in the water, going crazy. I came around that corner and all I said was, have you lost your mind? Just like that, in that tone. Have you lost your mind? Man, when I say she stopped on a dime, she stopped on a dime.
Did you hear what I said?
Right. I was like, go get your jacket from your mama. She went and got her jacket. Put your jacket on. Now go around, apologize to these people. Tell them you're sorry. She go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Man, them white people started clapping, but they thought they saw a magic trick. And I walk out here with my child, like, because my child, I taught my daughter to heed. Now, I did that because it might save her life. Right now, having said all that, now we transition into the teen years. My daughter's 16 now, right? She stopped getting spankings long ago, right? So now it's like, okay, don't do that because I told you so. Well, Pop, I want to try it. Well, go ahead. Go on out there and bump your head. And she come back, ow, I told you. Right? So you have to transition. It's my parenting techniques. I didn't want my daughter to experience what I experienced from age 9 to 14. Getting punched in the chest, knocked down, screamed at. I didn't want her to experience that. So to this day, and guess what? My daughter talks to me. If it's something important, she comes and talks to me. If it's something to deal with her friends, some boys or some girls or whatever, she comes to talk to me. We talk about how to dress, how to look appropriately, how to act when you're out in public. And I'm not really worried about it. Now, she's going to go out here and bump her head now. I done told her you can't be wearing these, like, the skin tight stuff that these little girls be wearing. Right? I talked to my daughter about it. You don't want to wear that. You don't want to get that kind of attention. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, don't do it because I told you to. And, maybe she'll try it. But to date, she haven't, because she's still wearing her baggy hoodies and her baggy shorts and going out to play her trombone. But I'm y'all know I'm still worried.
It'll be like this one time at band camp.
You
That's
already
the best
know
we
it.
can do. Switch up your techniques. You know what I mean? I don't say go full liberal and don't, just hug your children. No, I don't believe in everyone gets a trophy. I believe in working hard to become number one. But I also believe in discipline.
It's the technique, but this is the thing also, DL. It's the imagination that we have as fathers, right? The thing is that, and it's listening to fathers, being a father that had a father, right? And listening to our different ideals. We don't all have the same ideals, right? But man, we all have the same vision, right? We just want our kids to be better than us. And if we think that we were good people, and sometimes we are, because my father wanted me to be better than him. And that in some aspects I was, right? I'm like, I can admit that. So I want my kids to be better than me. Where it gets kind of screwed up is when your kids are not. They can't even light a torch to you. That's terrible, right? For a lot of parents. There's a lot of parents that have it now. So the problem that we have when we convey our ideals to our children is how we do it. Like, I'm not a proponent of whooping your kid's ass. I just ain't never been that person because I was the recipient of an ass whooping. You know what I'm saying?
But JT, at what age? You talking about never ever?
No. I'm talking about ass whooping. I'm not talking about a spanking.
At what age do you saying you never was use that discipline with your kid? Like any age?
No. Well,
I did say ass, and I said that like in a facetious kind of way, like a quick little spanking or something.
I get exactly what you're saying. This is the thing. I had to develop that type of thought, right? When I became a parent is when I developed the thought, right? My father, he had 2 boys. I got 2 girls. I'm not about to sit back and my whole thought was, I'm not about to teach my children. And you're right. The age thing, I'm going to answer that too. The last time I spanked either one of my children probably they were 3.
Okay.
They were 3. My voice and the way that I deal with them is way more impactful, right? Even right now, my daughters are grown. And if I show some disdain for the things that they're doing, man, it's impactful to them. And the thing is that because they trust their mama so much, where the first thing that they would do is go to her. The craziest part is she'd come to me and be like, they feel a certain way when you say, and I'm glad that it goes that way, right? Because that way we can work things out. My kids don't put me on blast. They want to. When they were teenagers, They wanted to do all kind of shit. That was the whole, you're old, you're irrelevant, and all that crazy shit. I'm so glad that I ain't got no teenagers right now. I'm so fucking glad, because I hated those times. That was probably one of the worst times of fatherhood for me, was to have some goddamn teenagers. I got a 28-year-old and I got a 23-year-old. They're coming around now, right? Because there's certain things that me and their mom did and said to them where they were just, I would never do my child like this, and that type of bullshit. Now they're like, Ma, I get why you did what you did. Dad, I understand why you did what you did, right? One of my children has a child now, so she really understands it. But guess what she ended up doing? Pulling him towards his grandmother and his grandfather and everybody else that's around him that she trusts. The problem we have right now, fellas, is that we don't have people that trust each other anymore. And they end up going from being young to being parents to being grandparents. It's very sad when you have a culture of people that don't trust their grandparents. Of all people, you can't even trust your grandmama or your granddaddy. That's where we at now. I'm a Gen X. All of us trusted our grandparents. I ain't gonna say like everyone 100%, but I'm just saying the majority of us trusted our grandparents. Why? Tell him, Coach Ferg, crack hair. It was the streets.
Hey, we knew our grandparents were our actual grandparents. You know,
we knew that they were our actual grandparents, and we understood.
That's a question mark.
And we understood that our grandparents understood that their children were in trouble. And when they found out that their children were in trouble, they tried to help their children. And then when their children had children, what did they do? It was it. I kind of missed the mark with you, but I got another chance to do it. Grandma always did it, didn't she? Come on, you live with me. Mama out there in them streets, come live with me. One of the things I can honestly say is that in Black American culture, that actually was a plus for us. I always ask people, I said, if you actually understood what white people go through, it's way worse than what we were going through. We're starting to do the same things that happened with them. I ain't never seen a white, and I'm from Detroit. I ain't never seen white people have a family reunion and it was more than 150 of them. Their family reunion is like 17, 15 people.
That's a brunch.
Don't fuck with they people. That's a brunch. They ain't never had T-shirts and shit like that. Our culture taught them how to do that shit. Our culture, as being Black Americans, taught them that y'all fucked up. Y'all cut y'all people off. We didn't. Sometimes it works for us, sometimes it don't. But guess what we ended up doing? We end up having unity, even though the unity kind of costed us a little bit. It cost us a little bit because we keep staying attached to our people. What we're talking about right now, Coach Ferg, is this whole thing of separating from one another. When we talk about all the fucked up shit that's going on in America right now, what Black folks are talking about is what white folks did centuries ago. They separated from them motherfuckers. And what we're talking about is doing the same thing that they did. This is why you have Black folks that are saying that's not the answer either. And I understand, because I was one of the ones who was like, man, you got to separate from, if you can just go into the Rolodex of Black Men Unfiltered, What We Know podcast, and you would hear me saying some shit to that effect, right? But it doesn't make any sense either. So it's always in our currency would be with our children, would be with spouses, marriage, all these different things, all the things that's happening where it's not going to work for us anymore. Marriage is, the deficit of women and men coming together in marriage, it's hurting us more than it has helped us ever. It's fucking us up right now. Why? Because marriage was the vessel of community. It just was. It ain't no more. But you don't understand it no more. Go ahead, Coach.
Go ahead, Trevor.
No, man. Listen, man. We all, outside of my brother 100 watts, right? we all experienced our families having respect from the top to the bottom. Grandmama probably outlived granddaddy, but granddaddy paid for the house. Grandmama had everybody coming over and eating. You had married parents. Most of us had family members who were respectful to the children. They made sure that you had a meal on the table, you had some clothes on your back, made sure the lights was out at 9 o'clock. As you got older, you started to understand what they were doing. But even then, you still had to respect what they was doing. And they respected you. I remember seeing old cats in the street talking about, oh, you such and such boy, get away from her. Because the men were in the position of some sort of protection. Once that welfare came and that crack, listen, man, it's always been single mothers. And those mothers respect the children. I remember going to the project. Some of the cleanest house I ever seen was in the project. Some of the most respectful mothers were in the projects. The mothers put the children first. That's why all the mothers was 130 pounds, because they made sure the children ate first. Today, the modern selfish American who's now post-crack adult, they think about self first.
Big back.
And by default, I'm going to shut up on this. By default, again, the messages that both young men and young women don't get, if they don't get it from both parents, because we the generation that know everything. We know that we grew up in the from 0 to 100. They're not getting the messages. And I see it for what it is, man. From working in this field, those kids are now adults across America. It's that, I don't know the gens, but I'm gonna tell you, when you look at it, when you start pulling up the clips of most people in their early 40s to 27, they struggling the most. They struggling the most, but they still gonna have babies. And they still gonna continue to try to separate and then say there's no good men or women. That's gonna be the downfall. I'm going on panels and I talk to, I ain't taking it easy on them, because if they don't fix it, because they don't want the kids to be better, they shame everything before them. And when you look at them, they still standing in quicksand. Most of them are. So listen, the ones that get it will be okay. The ones that don't get it in America, you might have to go to a third world country. You may have to start from scratch over there, because America's about to change and people don't see it. So brothers, get in while you can. That's all I can say.
America's definitely changed, bro. Like, they're worried about the replacement rate. People, anecdotally, we look at, like, man, there's plenty of kids out here, but when you look at the stats, we're below replacement rates. Like, you look, successful people.
What are we replacing them with?
Well, yeah. Replacing them with dogs and cats and ferrets and rabbits, because that's what people are doing now. They're getting pets. They're not getting kids. They're getting pets. Why? Can't afford it. It's to your point, Coach. The way marriage is set up, legal marriage is set up, if that system just doesn't work. It's a bad idea. It's a bad contract for somebody, right? And a lot of these ladies are starting to find out what I mean when I say that. I'm like, look, y'all coming out of college, you're making more money than the average man, and especially in the big cities, right? So you the alpha, you bringing home the money, and look at Cassie Ventura. Cassie Ventura is up to what, $30 million. I'm pretty sure she's out working on book deals, TV deals, all sorts of deals. So her husband is at home, the former, personal trainer, with the kids in the house. I bet you 5 years from now, they get divorced, he's taking half of her stuff. He's gonna get half of the Birkins and the Kellys. He's gonna get half of the Louboutins. He's gonna get the kids. He's gonna get the house. And people are talking, because I did it on my show. Like, is Cassie, is she a victim here? Is she predator or prey? And I'm like, you know what? She might be dealing with the ultimate pimp, waiting in the wings, her husband, waiting to get her. And guess what? The way the laws are set up, she gonna have to pay. She got the bread. If you don't believe me, ask Mary J. Blige, ask Halle Berry, ask Jennifer Lopez, Kelly Clarkson. You gonna have to cut that check. and women are seeing this. So it's the whole thing is being turned upside down. And who loses? Our society loses because people like, man, don't get married. Man, don't have no kids. Get your money, get the bag. You know, men are out here doing it. They're making themselves into the best version of themselves, but they're giving up on women, at least women here in America.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like, are we making the best decisions for society, right? And I don't think so, because everything is basically people are looking out for self, and it's just a domino effect. Saint, it's just a domino effect, and this is the thing. Me making that statement is just saying, I definitely ain't the one that can tell you that we got the answer. I just observe and I see what I see.
And Brother Lost, can you put that that comment back up? It was saying that women aren't. When you look at marriage, is a bad contract for the person who does not have it. Marriage is a horrible contract. The person who does not have it, I'm saying man or woman, I'm just saying who doesn't have the money, after 5 to 7 years, right? You are incentivized to leave to break that contract. You're incentivized to do it. So it is a bad contract. It is a bad contract.
I think that's one of the reasons why I say what I say. Right. And I know Lost, he got an answer for it, but I'm saying just observing and understanding how the world is working right now, it's very difficult to have an answer for success.
Well, but I wouldn't finish with that comment yet. Women are out earning men in one of the youngest cohorts. I think it's between 23 and 28, whatever that cohort is. Women are out earning their male counterparts. Go check the math, friend.
In regions, though, it's not across the country. Probably in region, it's a regional thing.
But it's growing, right? And they're not going to keep making less. And a lot of the invisible men have stopped even trying. They're staying at home. They're in their mama's basement. They're in grandma's basement. They ain't even working.
I think that's a false. I think that's more of a false narrative than anything else. I think the
numbers bear that out, bro. That's all I'm saying. The stats are out there.
The numbers are. Well, we got to stop shitting on men, right? Because the numbers bear out that men are starting to go. I'm making a point. More men are going to trade school than ever before, especially black men. There's statistics on that. So, so we gotta be kind of fair with the narratives here, because not because I'm trying to protect black men, because women run with this shit and it doesn't help them much, because most of it is a lie, right? They're the most educated, they're the most this, they're the fucking most fucked up, they're the most fine, most in debt, the most, they're all the bad demographics, they're the most that, and also they're going to be the best women in the whole world too. I mean, something ain't jiving.
Right. So you're speaking to just the African American community. I'm speaking to the American society as a whole. I'm speaking to those numbers. When you have the invisible men, when you have the majority of men in this country giving up, it's a problem for the entire society. It's only so many black folks in this country, bro. So it's like what we're doing is different, right? And think about that too. Because what JT was saying about wanting our children to do better, right? America just hit the first generation of children who are not going to surpass their parents. That's white folks. Black people, like my child is still going to do better than me. We're still going up, but the society as a whole is starting to come down. So, but when we refuse to look at this,
I'll grant you that.
Right. So when we refuse to look at this, we're not helping ourselves.
Right? No. I kind of just, because we can't really, just layers to that too, because a lot of the shit in a complete diaspora, when we count everybody, and then our own internal struggles. Sometimes we got to separate those two things, and sometimes we have to combine them, right? So we got to be careful when we use the broad statistics and count everybody, because that realism might not necessarily be 100% with ours.
Yeah. So
when black women say that black women.
Hold on a second. Go ahead, Arpain. Finish up what you were saying.
I'm just saying. I'm just letting here. When black women say that we're the most educated, they ain't counting white women in that statistic. They're not. They're just talking about themselves, right? They so a lot of stuff is, so I hear what you're saying, DL, but we got to be careful as we mix and match these concepts.
I think he delineated it though. I think what he was saying was he gave a demographic, right? for what he was just saying. Because when you add Gen X and you add, because lo and behold, you still have baby boomers that are still in those stats, right? What DL was saying was that when you start talking about, what was it, DL, 23 to...
And don't quote me, but there's that young percentile of women.
The young percentile.
28 to 30.
Right. So he did delineate it from that point, because that's where we get the message to the younger generation. I think that's where I don't want to.
That's an age delineation, but that's not necessarily a race delineation.
Let me help y'all out.
Yeah,
because here's a problem I have with that. Is that we build this damn sandwich the way we want to build it. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take all the top women, and then we're gonna put them against all the bottom men, and then we tell this narrative of women and all these men. No, it's just because the way you put that damn sandwich together. Now, if we go ahead and we do the stats and across the board and pull all the numbers off and pull our ages off, and you'll see that black men are out earning black women, period. Yeah. I don't care where you reach into that sandwich and pull it out and put it the way you want to put it together. Black men are still out earning black women. Now, on top of that, we're not putting the sandwich together all the way. We're not saying that, hey, you have this much in student loan debt. We can't get houses with you because you're this much in debt. So that where it doesn't make you appealing to get married to somebody who has this amount of student loan debt, who has this amount of all credit card debt and all this other stuff. So when you start telling the story the way it should be, those particular range of women are not eligible to be married, period.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's tell if we're going to tell a story, we have to tell
not the whole story. The percentage you already have kids. Not to mention the percentage you already have kids.
Earlier, our pain about what the way these women got on that earlier show and was saying, well, a woman makes $350,000, and what if the man only makes 70? That's a damn imagination and average dream that you just cooked up. That's not damn reality. Because if it was reality, you wouldn't even entertain the dude that makes 70,000. You'd be going for the dude that make 2 million, because you're not going to date down. You're always going to date up. Now that to me is a more accurate side of the story. So if we're going to tell it, we're going to tell it like it's supposed to be told. You know what I'm saying?
When you're talking about the black community, I agree with you 100%, brother. When you're talking about the black community, the numbers do change drastically. When you talk about the Latino community,
take the labels off, man,
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Even when you talk about, like, if guys is out here and they were dating with intentions, damn her vag facts. Look at her credit score. Remember, we talked about what was this, a year ago? We were saying, check her credit score. Right. I swear to God, dog, you gonna be like, oh no, I can't deal with this shit right here. She gonna have all kind of shit that she's gonna be in debt. And if you out here talking about being a provider and a protector and all this to a woman that has screwed up her financial security, you can't get her out of that right there, my guy. Damn how many dicks she had. How much money is she in debt with? That would change every guy's perspective, bro.
You know what, JT, what really broke me up, man, I used to work for the bank for 20 years. I used to work in the dispute department where they dispute folks' charges, whatever. And I used to watch and look at what women spent their money on. And I'll assure you, they are not good stewards of their damn money.
It's an evil world.
You know what I'm saying? They'll sit up there, they'll tell you all this stuff about they ain't paying their student loans. They spending all their money on Starbucks, snacks, eating out of the cupcake shop, and they're sitting on their damn money. You know, so they ain't even paying their damn rent. I'm telling you, they can sit up here and they can sell y'all all these little dreams or whatever, but I've seen what they spent their money on. I've seen it. And it ain't on no men and all this other stuff. They keep their money to themselves. That's exactly what's going on.
And a lot of the older women has been lying to these younger women. That's why these younger women are crashing out too. We had a story where a woman ended up getting her car, because y'all do understand the biggest thing that's going on with these women is that they're getting their cars repossessed, right?
Yep.
So a woman here in Michigan, she messed around and she was mad because the damn the tow truck man, the repo man, came and got her car. Do you understand that this woman had shot at this man? That's not the crazy part of the story. The crazy part of the story is because the cops were there. She shot at the damn tow truck man, and the cops had to shoot her. Now, they didn't kill her. And that was crazy, because I'm like, these motherfuckers don't shoot to neutralize. They shoot to kill you. Period.
Police officers, they don't spend a lot of time at the range, so.
And there you go. And you're right. You're absolutely right. So the thing is that now she in jail with a bullet wound in the leg, looking sad because she wanted to try to keep a car that she couldn't afford anyway.
JT, I'm telling you, they can try this mess with anybody else on the internet, but they can't try that mess on me because I seen what they spend their money on.
Yeah.
And the ones who say they got money, they ain't got it like they think they got it. I'm here to tell you, they broke. That's the reason why they require you to pay their bills because they ain't got it in the first place.
Exactly. Or they buy houses based on the flex. I mean, that's another thing. When women buy houses and shit, no husband, they buy a house and they don't count the insurance and the rising taxes and all that shit. They're getting kicked out of their houses in Grove. And I talk to these honeys. I said, listen, you buy that house, you ain't got no really man to protect you, and hell with the physical protection. But okay, it's a rainy fucking night, and you just figured out that your bottom floor has 45 windows, and it's just you in a corner room upstairs and shit somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And you got that stupid cheap ass lock on your front door, thinking you're safe. You're not.
Or a camera.
I'm just saying. You're men on the other hand, most of us
give us content. That's
most men. If a man usually buys a house because he wants to fill it with a family. It's not 100%, but he wants to put a family in there. Yeah. And women ain't. It's a flex with them. All kinds of stupid shit is flex with the honeys, man, and they're ruining themselves. They price themselves out of the market. And all that kind of stuff. And I think brothers are starting to come to the realization that shit, you know what? We got value. We've already accepted that we ain't getting no virgins. And that shit's even way back in my day, right? So we already kind of accept that. Now they're asking us to accept whores. They're asking us to accept. And then the problem with that, I'm going to shut up on this one, is that all the trauma that women have, I'm not talking about SA, because that's the one real trauma that I agree with, is that every woman that has trauma in her 30s is at the tip of some man's dick. No matter if you peel that onion back, it's always a man on the other side of their trauma. And then they kind of levy that shit on you, whether it's 18 kids or whether it's what a guy left me or the bitch who's on the table or Dr. Brian. Everything they had, all their problems all have to do with a man's Johnson at some point.
Yeah.
That's why they're supposed to be chased. That's why they're supposed to have some kind of
it's the problem.
All that energy they collected through their years, all that DNA, all that stuff, man, stays with them, man. And they expect you to come in and clean all that shit up.
Bro.
It's crazy.
Bro, listen, here's the thing. America is going through a correction. Like the everything bubble is beginning to burst. Everything's coming, the foundation is cracked. Down here in Florida, like the housing market changed big time. The condo market has been devastated. And to your point, a lot of sisters out here done bought some properties, they did this thing, did that. And, they're losing their properties. Cars, like the repo thing, the automotive business has been messed up for almost a year now. It's just now getting to the point where they can't kick the can down the road no more.
Right.
If we had real leadership in our communities and we can explain to these young kids, it's like, look, man, you're gonna need help to make it. Like you're gonna have to team up to make it. That's what's going on. Like I don't agree with the marriage laws as they stand today, but sit down, get a prenuptial. Let's make that a mandatory situation. Like, all right, if you're gonna get married, it's like you gotta go talk to the church, you gotta go whatever you gotta go do, gotta get your license, but you also gotta bring in your prenup. We can't get a license without a prenup. So you need to sit down to figure out if this don't work out, how y'all gonna split this up, right? Because it's hard to do it by yourself, man.
I agree.
Brother Laws, what do you need now to get a mortgage, to get approved on a mortgage for the median cost of a home? I think it's around $416,000 the median cost of a home these days. What do you need to qualify for that loan at 7%?
You got to make $175K, man, per year. Like real talk.
And that'd be what 20, and that'd be what 20 grand down or something like
You
that.
need 20 grand down. Yeah. So you know where you have to pay PMI.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Well, the average person ain't making that, y'all. I'm gonna tell you.
The median income in America
people ain't making that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The median household income in America is I think is like around between 85 and 93,000, depending on what numbers you look at. That's two incomes, sometimes three.
That's median.
What's the median?
65.
With two incomes, yeah, you was pretty high up there, man.
Bro, like I said, it depends on who you look at. But what's the average? The median income, individual income is what, around 35 to 55,000?
Somewhere like between there.
Even on the coast, skew all the numbers. I mean, if you know,
again, it depends on where you're getting your numbers.
Yeah,
but no one is near that 175 mark you need to earn so you can get the median, so you get an average house.
Oh, that's up there.
Put it like this, man. You got to look at it like this. What women fail to do is they have a bad sense of numbers. Think about it. When my granddaddy came up, you know, one of those Sears houses that you buy, you know, they drop it off and you put it together and it take you about a week to put the house together. You have a 2-3 bedroom house. That house is $3,500. It's on the internet. You can look at it all day long. Okay. That house is probably maybe, you know, 10% of his income, you know, buying power. Now, you have to look at it like this. The weight of inflation and how it works is that wages have not kept up with the cost of housing.
Facts.
And the value of your money is not the same. So that 10% that he was using to buy his house, he could probably pay for his house if he just, you know, just one year's salary should be able to take care of your house. You know what I'm saying? Now that's not the case. It's going to take twice, almost 3 times, 4 times as much money for you to make to leverage that type of thing. And you probably never pay it off. I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? If you start throwing this other stuff, and the value of the dollar is shrinking every day. So a greater portion of your income is going towards your housing. So instead of 10% of your income coming in, you got about 80% of your income going into housing. You know what I'm saying? 90%.
Ooh, that's high. Shit.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. So when you hear women sit up and say, well, I want you to pay my bills like my granddaddy did. Well, the money ain't the same.
and you ain't your grandmother. And you ain't your grandmother.
You ain't chased either. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. But even if they were chased, they still don't put no more value on the money now, does it? No, it does not. You know? I think, but that's how I look at it. People don't know how to do math, man. And that's the issue that we have in our community when we had these conversations, because nobody's actually pulling out a piece of paper and a pen and saying, hey, look, the reason why you can't get this type of house is because the house that you're getting is a lot more square footage. You know what I'm saying? Because the house that our grandparents got, they may have got 2-3 bedrooms and, 12 by 12 room, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. Right. Now you want a bedroom, 35 by 35, walk-in closet, his and her sinks, all that old food. You know what I'm saying? You want the foyer and the wraparound porch, and 5-6 bedrooms. Each bedroom got a bathroom, and you got to power that sucker with all type of electricity and 4 or 5 hot water heaters.
The garage, to the garage,
car garage. You got to put a car in every garage. Then you got to have insurance for all of this stuff. It's not the same.
That's crazy.
Did you throw in the association?
Oh, we ain't put the homeowners association. They can go up anytime. And then on top of that, when it comes time for you to redo your taxes every year, guess what? Your property value just went up. Oh my goodness. So guess what? You got some more money that you got to pay. Your mortgage goes up another $2,000-$3,000. So here you go.
Yeah, if there's a place with an HOA, man, I would tell people to stay away from any place that has an HOA, man.
People like to stay in nice neighborhoods with matching mailboxes.
You want to think, you want a gate. That's where the good schools at.
Yes, that's what the fantastic schools are.
I think the demographic. So I kind of want to connect a couple things here.
Come on.
There was a demographic that Saint gave earlier that you were talking about. It was somewhere around 45 to 18. If I shrink it just a little bit, if we say from 18 to maybe 30. The question earlier about like young people like disregarding older people and the response that I had about just not feeling like we were ever taught anything, right?
Yeah.
So part of the growing up process for that age group is like we were talking about, because I told you so, right? And then there's also the grown folk business. So a great example of something that that demographic never learns about is credit. Y'all were talking about student loans and credit reports. How many people in the demographic do you think have actually seen a full credit report?
They haven't.
How many do you think actually know how many credit report bureaus there are?
They don't
have
know.
any of them seen what kind of information is on there? They don't even know that their name shows up on their credit report in 4 different ways. Like, so when it comes to why people are pushing back, it's like, damn, like you won't even. Ain't nobody tell me none of this shit. Y'all ain't tell me about that taxes was coming out of my check. Y'all ain't tell me I had to file this shit. There's a lot of things that older people are not telling this demographic. So then when they get out into the world and they get hit in the mouth with the shit, like, why I'm gonna listen to you now, old nigga? Ain't nobody told me this shit before. What you putting me for now?
Yeah, the answer is I got a house, you don't.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that is the correct response to that. I'm not saying that is the correct response to that. I'm just saying that there has to be a understand. I think that being older and having the wisdom, there has to be a little bit of grace to somebody younger to know that these young niggas are not being taught anything. So,
but finesse, I don't always believe that people are not being taught. Almost everybody up here went to school. School gives you a portion of it. A lot of people just don't pay attention in school.
Nah, they
don't pay attention.
They don't teach none of that.
They don't teach that.
Well, listen, I was at a school. I was teaching.
In the public school, the public schools that I've been to, I've been to school in 4 different states. I've been in high school in 4 different states. And I'm telling you, when it comes to finances, the only thing they teach you is to open a checking account, a savings account, and how to fill out a check. That's it.
If
they don't even teach you how to file. They don't teach you how to file taxes. They don't teach you what a W-2 is, an I-9 form. They don't teach you any of that. The only thing they are teaching you in school right now is how to open a checking account, a savings account, and fill out a check. Like, most of these schools don't even have art programs anymore, so they damn sure don't have financial education programs.
You know what?
The first time I ever heard about
these kids. You know who's supposed to be teaching these kids? The parents. But you know what?
The ones that don't have money.
Embarrassed. They don't want their kids to see their W-2.
hey, brother Loss, you know who taught me about credit?
Yeah.
You know who taught me about credit, brother Loss?
Who's that?
This one chick I was smashing in AIT.
I already know you was about to say a chick, but go ahead.
She was older. She was older, bro. You know, she was like 26. You know, I'm 18 years old. She showed me a lot that night. But one of the things she taught me what credit is and how to get it and why it's important. And she took me down to the jewelry store. She's like, why don't you just get this little ring? It was a chain for $100. And you just pay on it, and this is how it works. And she did a good job. Now, why wouldn't, this is just some 304 I'm knocking off. I'm pretty sure her husband was mad. Sorry,
man. She's a 304.
but she had some good advice.
Thank you for the knowledge, though.
You know what I'm saying? But the stats are crazy. Brother Loss, you nailed it. Like, Americans can't afford America anymore.
Right.
This could be the beginning of the fall of the American empire, or this could be an opportunity for us as Americans to take command and do what we got to do. Purchasing power is gone. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin. I'm like, you better look at some precious metals. Bro, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
117,000 a day.
How much?
117,000. I remember when it was 17,000. I was like, I gotta cash that in. I wish I had a set on my little 17.
Did you have any? I had a guy.
I'll show it to you.
I had a guy tell me how Bitcoin was like 17.
It's crazy.
I can't imagine. I blew it so bad, man. I can't believe it. I have some. So I have some Bitcoin. So I'm happy though. Man. I said, this is nice. I also have iBit, which tracks it. So
Well, I hope you have your stuff in cold storage, because it's going to be a nasty play, I think, with Bitcoin. And then how long before AI breaks the blockchain?
Yeah. They're going to try to swipe it off these exchanges. So you better
they're going to lock it down. You got to be careful with that. I think it was in the news that 50 Cent came across. He had a cold storage of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, shout out to 50, because, bro, like you said, it's up there. I haven't been watching Bitcoin, but, some of the old talking heads, some of the old money people were saying there's going to be this crash of the everything bubble. There's going to be this huge correction. But on the other side of that, these guys were saying they could see crypto getting, Bitcoin in particular, getting up to $1 million a coin. And I'm like, damn, okay, but who has the money to take the chance? It's a gamble.
Man, all you do is dollar cost average, man. Throw you about $5 or $10 in every now and then. Let the thing creep up on you. You ain't got to break the bank, man. You know what I'm saying?
I just recently left the high schools, right? And this is where you get the difference of knowledge. In communities where there are homeowners, they can dictate type of programming in class that students have. Most public schools are by renters, so they have no collective bargaining into dictating. However, they do have parenting associations within the school. Most parents never show up. Now, here's the thing. Even schools have started to adopt curriculums that teaching kids about financial literacy. Some do it during school, and some do it after school. Most of us, well, the younger folk, they look at the flash first. They want the money off the top, and they have limited understanding of what the process takes. Regardless of how you got it, who you got it from, there are examples that people just don't pay attention to until they've already got themselves in debt. I'm just saying for today, with as much information out there now, there should be no reason why people shouldn't. I'll say this: people, if you don't know, you don't know. But it's too many active voices out there saying, "Hey, try A, B, C, D, E, F, G." We spend $20 on a meal. Why not take $20 and spread it around to a couple of startup companies and just say, forget it. 5, 10, 15 years down the road, you can have 60 to 100,000 in each $5 that you invest. There are ways.
Pay dividends, you know.
Yeah, they would some of them, a lot of them cash out or they'll just burn out, but you only lost $5. But if you take that 20, spread it out 4 times, let's just say 3 of them hit. But the information's there. People just choosing not to do it.
The information is here. The entire information in the universe is right here, and everyone
for it. Absolutely, right on your phone.
I'd rather y'all
you have to know what you don't know, what you're missing. That's why it's important to have your community, because there's always going to be somebody who knows something that you don't know.
Absolutely.
That's the magic.
Yeah, and the magic is, networking your way in and finding this stuff out. I remember, man, this was back in the 90s. I was working on a local campaign, city council. This is in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I volunteered to work for Manette Cooper, God bless the dead, an amazing sister, amazing woman. And it was an honor to know her and work with her. We helped her out. I volunteered, I worked hard. She was the underdog. No one thought she had a shot in hell. She won. I mean, she did so well. Like, it really shocked the city. After the election, I'm riding around with her. We were going through like a really bad neighborhood in Cincinnati. And she's like, if you have any money, you need to buy some property over here. Now, mind you, at the time, the property she was talking about, I could have bought a lot for $3,500. There were some properties over there that was going for as low as $1,100. This was back in 1996.
That sounds about right.
1996. Those properties right now, today, are all worth well over $500,000. Yeah, and she tried to tell me I just didn't have it. I just didn't have it. $3,000 a day. Yeah, I get that, but back then, I couldn't get it.
Deal, let me ask you a question. Is it the fact that those properties cost $1,100 back then, or is our money just worthless today?
I think it's a combination of both. More to the point. The dollar is losing purchasing power. Period. Yeah. That is a fact. How much it costs to get a Happy Meal or whatever out of McDonald's or one of those?
$15.
$20. Ain't so happy no more. Goddamn.
Happy Meal. Happy Meal. $18. Man, shit.
Yeah, something like that.
11. Yep, it's $11.50.
It's 11.
Come with Prozac and box.
It ain't $2.85 no more.
No, it ain't. That's
they used to have the
like
All-American meal.
It's 4 of them, so that's $40 just on Happy Meals.
Think about that. 40. It used to be they had this thing called the All-American meal. It was a cheeseburger, small fries, and a soda, a pop.
Yeah, McDouble. Yeah,
that shit was like $2.50. Like $2.50.
You ain't spending no $2.50 on a pie.
On a cookie. I remember being in high school, and one of the schools I went to.
You know what I'm saying? You used to get a glass with Grimace on the glass and the hamburger, you know.
Right.
And
That
mayonnaise,
was you only paid for that glass. You paid $2.50, man. That was
laid
it.
off everybody but Ronald. You don't see Grimace no more. You don't see the hamburger, the mayo, the fry guys. You don't see none of them. When you go to McDonald's, all you see is Ronald, and that's it. And he's glad he's still got a job.
I think, I think those owners are having major problems right now, right? Like those McDonald's and Burger King and all these different owners of these businesses, they're having problems because they can't afford to pay for quality workers anymore. It's crazy when you see it.
Bro, they're competing with Applebee's and Chili's. McDonald's ain't got to the point where it's cheaper to go get a sit-down meal inside of Applebee's and Chili's than it is to go get that Big Mac meal.
Yeah. Instead of you.
When was the last time a McDonald's meal competed against crab cakes?
It never happened in the history of anything.
You have crab cakes or you can have a Big Mac. Which one you gonna choose, man? You know what I'm saying?
You know it was crazy because in Maryland, and that was the thing I liked about McDonald's. They were different depending on where you were at. Maryland used to have the crab cake, and they used to have the crab cake sandwich in Maryland.
The Krabby
That
Patty.
shit. The crab patty.
That is the most
they had
shit
that.
I've ever heard.
That shit was crazy, but it was selling. It was selling in Maryland, DC, Maryland, and Baltimore. Wow. Yeah, McDonald's did that over in those spots. Huh?
Yeah, I think in Korea they sell like barbecue chicken. You know.
Yeah. McDonald's is totally different depending on where you go. Because in Europe, let me tell you, they never sold. I know in Austria and in Germany, they never sold those potato hash browns.
Yeah.
They didn't sell. You ate fries with your Mac. What was it? The
McMuffin.
It was and this is in the 90s, and I was like, damn, y'all ain't got the and fries. It just came, and then everything else was fruit. And before we even did it over here in America, they were already selling continental breakfasts over there in Europe at McDonald's. And I used to be like, I don't want no damn yogurt. I don't want no damn, you know what I'm saying?
But they have gravy on their fries. They call it poutine.
But right. So we stole the ideal from them because you can go to McDonald's now and you can get a parfait with, fruit and all that other stuff in there. You can get a salad and all that. It's crazy because they understand that at the end of the day, especially at McDonald's, you're not really selling no real food. So it's kind of like, I used to love it.
We got a VIP in the chat. Suzette Speaks is in the chat, man.
Hey.
Hold on.
Suzette, it's been a minute.
Salute to you, Suzette.
Suzette, it's been a minute.
Definitely.
Sister Suzette, if you got a moment, if you could bless us with your presence for just 10 minutes, she is doing great things in South Florida. I don't know if y'all been keeping up. Check out.
I keep up with her. Yeah.
Yo, Sister Suzette, put your Instagram in the chat so they can keep up with you. She is doing great things down there in South Florida. I'm so proud of her. Y'all know that's the first platform I ever went on. Suzette pulled me up, man. She didn't know who I was. I could have been some crazy man. She pulled me, which I am. But she, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of our sister Suzette Speaks. She is hosting events, very active with the campaigns that just passed. I'm sure she's going to be active again, very active with the midterms. Holding it down there in South Florida, man. Got a radio show. Have y'all seen her radio show?
Yes. Yeah, man. I have. Absolutely. It's funny because she's in my algorithm, so it's kind of like, I have no choice but because I do, although, content creators, I actually look at everybody. I look at all the people. I would sit back because I drive a lot. I would sit back and just click on, Suzette, and I just be listening to it. You know what I'm saying? And going doing my thing, man.
We appreciate you, sis. Keep doing what you're doing. She's truly leading from the front. And I tell you what, young men out there, old men out there, you want to go and meet yourself a halfway decent woman, go to one of her events. She go down there and check it out. You got a good chance of meeting someone decent down there now. You know, there's some ragamuffins walking around in there. Avoid them at all costs. But, you know, get you the good ones now. Talk to Suzette, ask who the good ones are. She'll point you in the right direction.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
Appreciate you.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Y'all hilarious, man.
Say halfway deep.
What we talk about, man, giving life to those who need the life instead of, you know, that foolishness we saw earlier today. You know,
yeah, I'm all about holding up the best among us. Yeah, we got to hold up the best among us, bro.
We got a guy that's coming up now, man. Ask a Brother podcast. If y'all ain't seen him, he's smoking right now, bro. This dude is doing his thing. This man had a follow, and it was funny. I subscribed to him, man. 1,600 subscribers. That's all he had. The knowledge that this man has, the way that he's approaching this space that we have right now is dope, man. So if you guys get a chance, also go over there, follow my man. He's up and coming, man, and that's dope as hell because he's doing it organically, and the man has a lot to say. He's a dope brother, man. Most definitely.
He did a show. He was on with a couple white girls. They were pretty cool. I forget the name. It's like something about Their Truth podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
Damn near went viral, bro. It was fire. I reacted to it, man. It was a long 2-parter, but it's definitely worth watching, guys. If y'all check it out, let me see if I can find it. I'll post it in there if y'all want to go check it out. But,
well, what's the guy's name?
Well, his podcast is Ask a Brother Podcast.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Lapeef just had him on. Shout out to my man, Mr. Fantastic. He just today he did a interview with my man, and like I said, the guy he's from what I see, man, authentic, bro. He's thorough, most definitely.
Yeah, well, people don't realize, man, for you to have a good podcast, you got to have you a crew, man. You got to have you a good co-host. You got to have your good crew to bounce ideas off, because you don't know what's gonna come out of you unless you got somebody to ask the right stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why we do so good on these panels, because you know we never know what we're gonna drag out of each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our pain, we kick the tires on our pain, and all kind of gems start falling out.
I guarantee you, by the end of this week coming up, my man is he's gonna definitely be in the tens of thousands, no doubt about it, man. He definitely is. I think. Mostly from what I gather from this guy is that he's definitely a dude that helps out communities. That's with an S. So he doing his thing, and he just got his YouTube channel up, and right now, man, he's smoking. He killing them right now. I guarantee. Last time I saw it, when I subscribed, he was a little less than 1,600. He's probably way more than that right now. We talking about as the minutes go. This guy is definitely smoking. He's definitely gonna be one of those dudes.
Yeah, I can see this brother hitting the mainstream. Of course, he's gonna do well in our community, in our spaces. But I see this brother hitting the mainstream, kind of picking up where brother Kevin Samuels left off. I mean, different. It's a different message, so to speak. Say again.
Can you drop it in the back chat?
I'm almost found it. I'm almost there. The video he did on. I'm gonna drop the videos he did that I saw him on with the 2 girls, and then I'll drop his in there. I'm gonna drop them all in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through my history now. It's taking me a while.
You know what I noticed, man? Sometimes when we have these conversations, I'll go into different spaces, and I'll listen to what the ladies say, and they'll be like, "Well, the problem is it's the red pill content." I'm like, you know what? Y'all gonna have to look a little bit deeper than that. Maybe it's y'all. You know what I'm saying? Maybe y'all the subject of the content. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you should change what you're doing. Red pill content is not the problem. It's you. You know what I'm saying? You're different now. Mm-hmm. You don't have respect for men. You don't respect their time. You talk to them any old kind of way. You're being dismissive. And then you put your nose where it didn't belong, because we didn't invite you into the space. You know, we just comparing notes, and we figured out exactly what y'all was doing, and now y'all don't like that we figured it out. So let's just be honest, about the situation. And now all of a sudden it's the red pill content, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. It's your behavior that you don't like. and we're just telling you that we're not putting up with it no more. You know,
and that's what it boils down to.
It takes.
Facts.
I'm telling you, it takes somebody with maturity to understand that they're part of the problem and then actually do something about fixing it instead of pointing the finger at somebody else and saying it's the content. No, it's not the content, it's you, darling. If we're being honest, you know. So that's the conversation we really need to have instead of having
content and the music and the movies and the TV and the corn. It's everything but what you're doing. It's everything but what you're doing.
I did a show maybe about a couple weeks ago, and we were debunking this whole feminist talking points. And one of the talking points that we talked about was they were saying that the patriarchy was the issue, the reason why women were feeling, suppressed. I say it ain't the patriarchy. It's these advertisers. The very people y'all buy stuff from is the ones who paint y'all as this, that, and the other. And I went back and I showed them, and I was like, this is what they hear from y'all. This is not on the mainstream. It's from the archives. You can look it up if you want to. As a matter of fact, I did a whole 2 or 3 shows dedicated to the fact that most of these myths that they come up with, they built the whole feminist movement on, was a bunch of junk. They were saying that women couldn't buy. They were saying that women couldn't get bank accounts. Well, that wasn't the problem. Women could always get bank accounts. What they were trying to do is they were trying to get loans without collateral, and they tried to spend it in a way. They tried to spin the conversation in a way that women were being discriminated against because they were actually women, when that wasn't the case at all. It was the fact that you didn't earn any money and you didn't have any collateral. Single women could get accounts all day long, and that was all in the video. But once when people get a hold of narratives, they will actually take the truth and bury it and then run with it, and then everybody else will start using it. Because I used to hear folks on these conversations on these panels, and they'd always say, well, it wasn't until 1974 women couldn't get a checking account. And that was a lie. They've always been able to get a checking account, whether you're single or not. Trey Ferg will tell you that right now. It was the married women who wanted to get their own credit profile. That was the issue. And it wasn't until I put that out there, they was like, well, I never knew that. That's because y'all built y'all whole premise on somebody else's talking points, and you didn't use your mind to wind up to say, hey, that don't make sense. And then the killing part about it is, through discovery, I found out that they had, feminist credit unions. You know what I'm saying? That didn't last for 6 years because all they wanted to do was give money to women who didn't have collateral, and they messed around. They had to shut them down, and they had to go back and collect them, the funds that these people were loaning out money to only women. So you were actually discriminating against folks because you were being discriminated against. That's a bad recipe for business all day long. So, like I said earlier, it's one of those things, man, where you have to actually really dig deep to find out exactly where some of these lies come from. And the good part about it is people are so embarrassed that they built their whole mission on a lie, then they don't want to come back and say, you know what, let me go back and change what I was doing. But no, they just double down on it. And it's the same rhetoric. So that's the reason why I did that podcast, to show people, hey, to do some research and say, hey, your whole platform that you built your stuff on is a whole entire lie, and here's why, and here's where it came from.
Yeah. They end up, people end up crashing anyway, man, when they're not authentic. They end up crashing. Once the gig is up, once that trick, everybody got used to that little trick that they had, they can stand on their hands and juggle and shit like that. Then people just be like, all right, okay, now what more you have? And they don't have, you know what I'm saying? I put his link in there.
I saw that, JT.
I got it.
The killer part about it is, JT, what happened is that a lot of these talking points that these people built on came from a time where we only had maybe a few channels, and it was easy to control the mass. You only got a few channels, you know what I'm saying? You had Channel 6, you had 13, you had ABC, CBS, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. And it's easier for you to run game on the public when you only got 3 channels. But now you got the internet, you got, every other YouTube channel is a podcast. Next thing you know, you got advertisers scrambling, trying to figure out exactly how to capture dollars. So they enlisted the help of people like Meta to capture all your metadata, you know what I'm saying? And try to build a profile up on business. To try to sell you something to get money out of your pocket, you know what I'm saying? To get you to get sticky, and they had these real bad conversations. And in between, well, on this episode of Black Man versus Black Woman, and then I'm have you had cramps lately, ladies?
Yeah.
Well, we have Midol and all this other stuff. And fellas, are you tired of yelling at your old lady? Well, drink Duff beer. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing.
It's like the comedians say,
we arguing at each other. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what the comedians say. He said they always got something for something. He said, you think you got a problem. They say, do you sleep at night and wake up in the morning? We got a pill for that ass.
Exactly. It's called wake your ass up.
You gotta wake your ass up and go back to sleep.
Exactly.
Hey, but definitely earlier in this stream, like Brother Lost, man, you were dropping some real truth bombs, bro, because your background working in finance, working in the banks.
Yeah.
I was thinking we were talking about all this different, talking about the dollar and the purchasing power being gone and where we are in the world stage. What do you think we're gonna be in 10 years, bro? Based on what you know about how the dollar works and how finance really works. You're looking at, I'm talking about on a global scale. Because, America catches cold, the rest of the world gets a flu. You know what I mean? So if it comes crashing down, man, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to crash down?
What I have been doing, I've been plotting this out since 95. So this is not nothing new to me. I've been working on this for a long time. What's going to happen is if you're not leveraged in some type of asset that can be monitored or accounted for, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be hard for you to keep up. Because if you're outside of the system, you're using cash. Well, if everything else is going past the, everything else is keeping up with inflation, and you got stale dollars that's outside of the system, there's only so much you can do, So the best thing for you to do is to actually get legit, get your house in order, get your affairs in order, because once they put everything on the ledger, it's not going to be a situation where people are going to be able to get over. I put it like this: the wealth is going to stay intact. The haves will always have, and the have-nots will always have not. You know what I mean? And the system that we're going to be going to is going to guarantee that, unless you come up with something now and leverage something now, or you grab property now. You know what I'm saying? Before that happens, before everything gets locked in. So that's how I see it.
Well, let me ask you: if you have a lot of cash, right? We are saying it's depreciating. So when do you make a decision and say, I got to transfer this into something tangible? Like people say, buy gold.
Yeah.
First of all, I think silver is underpriced, by the way. I think it's
really
being manipulated. It should be a whole lot more than what it is right now.
And it's a great investment right now, too, though, because of that.
Oh, no doubt. But I'm just saying, where's the trigger point where you say, okay, I'm in stock, but the stock market over every 5-year period is always up, but when is that all going to come crashing down to where it's never going to return? So now that's doomsday saying, right? So we don't know what that day might be, right? We know the country's going into debt. But so when do you start moving assets?
Well, I will tell you this. I will tell you this: the best asset to have is land, and I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, of course.
You can grow stuff on land. You can grow food. You can pretty much sustain yourself with land. I don't care if the price of apples gets to be $200 an apple. As long as you got access to land and grow your own dadgum apples, you can eat, baby.
I'll still say, get a couple of apples and grow your own trees and shit,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you farther enough in the south, you can get you some peach trees and some orange and what's up the lemon trees, lime trees. We got a major problem there.
Yeah. What's that?
If we already identified that it costs almost, I just looked at it, it's about $409,000 for a home, and people are choosing to go into this debt-infested cycle single, then a lot of people go have to start really thinking about how they move. And it might look similar to nomads because they're not going to have very few places to go. People's average income is $43,000 across the country. It's going to take me, JT, R-Pain, and DL to get a house together.
Yes, and this is the thing. Is that actually a bad thing?
No, hold on, JT. Hold on. Here's the problem with that. We need all of us to contribute, but myself and our pain, we ain't trying to go to work. We want to kick it. We want to hang out. So how are we gonna get there?
You get banished from the fucking tribe.
Yeah,
shout out to my man.
But you ain't gonna let me go.
Uncle Jeff. Shout out to Uncle Jeff.
JT, somebody said it earlier. We want to take those people along with us. I'm not leaving my nephew and my cousin and my baby. I'm not leaving my son.
I will.
I'm just saying. I'm with you, but I'm just saying. People.
See, the thing is, it's not our willingness to let them go. It's their willingness to stay in the tribe. That's the craziest part. If we running the shit, it takes the person that's not the leader to stay in what we have right now because it benefits them. That's the problem. When people don't understand what their benefits is, and you see what we have right now, you got people that got jobs that don't give a fuck about their job. They'll fight somebody in a minute. On their job, they'll cut somebody out. They'll just destroy their whole opportunity right now because they haven't understood that in order for our world to change, there's going to be a lot of suffering. There's going to be a lot of people suffering, and they're the ones that's going to be the ones suffering. You can't save that.
But to Coach Ferd, to your point, when we're talking about something and it's just in theory, people gonna get big and say all that fly shit. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't leaving Peanut and him. All this bullshit. But when the defecation hits the oscillator, bro, and it gets real, shit, man, they packing up and they leaving.
They out.
Just like with the Great Depression and how Americans were moving all over the place. You had the Dust Bowl. You had the people in the Midwest moving out to California after slavery and after Reconstruction. Black folks migrating north and going to the Midwest and all that. People will move. If brother lost his right, which I believe he is, right? And this light correction we're seeing now goes into a full-blown recession and maybe even a light depression. Bro, people gonna be moving all over the place. The West Coast is gonna get empty because people can't afford to live out there. It ain't even about being, like that, the haves and the have-nots. Now it's the have-yachts and have-nots. If you ain't got a boat, you know what side you on. Shout out to Andrew Tate. He said that shit 4 years ago.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
I got the answer because I've been looking at that. I told you when I do research, I do research. This is the future. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. Hold on, so let me share my screen so y'all can understand that some of us actually do research in our spare time. And I'm going to show y'all exactly what the business is.
Hi, everyone. Behind me is our space capsule, and the length of the space is 11.8 meters. The space equipped with one balcony, one living room, one bathroom, and one bedroom. It can also customize according to customers' needs. Do you want to know more details about it? Follow me. The door equipped
double wide
smart security door. This is the bedroom, and it can put a double bed. This is the bathroom, and this is living room. The capsule equipped with the whole house intelligent system. 小智管家，关闭客厅窗帘。好的，关闭客厅窗帘，执行。The roof has an intelligent skylight. The room have 3 side floor-to-the-ceiling windows, used double low-E glass, and there have a big balcony which has good view. Now let me see the bathroom. The bathroom designed with the wet and dry separate and equipped with a smart beauty mirror with LED light and a wash basin. This is the toilet, and this is the shower room with shower head and water heater.
She didn't say nothing about storage. We use, but I could. My
I'm
wife.
gonna put my motorcycle.
Yeah, to get you a second house, man.
Yes,
But that's
my
the future,
wife.
y'all.
Yeah, it might be.
That house
My
is
wife.
like about maybe $11,000, $12,000.
I guess you can mold it, and I know they make houses like out of containers and stuff, and more containers you can get and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
they got some of those, but my buddy James is really big on helping homeless vets. And here in Florida, you would think Florida, red state, you know, all that thank you for your service shit, man, they really, really do the vets dirty down here to the point where they're living in the woods. And it's not just like you're thinking all these vets live in the woods, just a bunch of men. Nah, it's their families, the men in their families. So one of the things we're doing, we're trying to, you know, get organized and start raising money so we can buy those type of living structures. We're trying to figure it out because people are donating land so they can stay on the land and the police won't harass them because it's private property and they're already living there, but they're living in tents. And then they have to walk about, 30, 40 yards or so to go to the neighboring church where they take the showers. We're talking about mom, dad, the kids. And we're trying to find a way to help them get some sort of permanent structure. But, it's Florida. We have the storms. It's like we can go buy a structure for $10,000 and set it up. And then, it won't make it through hurricane season. So we'll be doing that every year, every other year. But it's just sad. That's where we are, man. Americans can't afford America.
Yeah. And, let me ask you guys this, because I've seen it. I went to Seattle a couple of years ago.
Oh, jeez.
And I saw that they had these mini homes for the homeless, but they couldn't afford those. So they got rid of them. Right. You see very little of those things. They tried it in Detroit and there's very few places because guess what ended up happening? They started financing them homes and they were like 30,000, 40,000. You like, these are homeless people with no jobs. How are they going to afford that? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like what they started out doing. What was that? 7 years ago or something like that. That was a terrible ideal. They still didn't get it. So it goes right back to what DL was just saying, where in Florida, you got people that's living in the woods and they try to find the most quietest places, and that's close to the highways and things like that. You got people that's actually on YouTube doing that, right? And that's not a way that you have families doing some shit like that, man. Can't afford, and you said it right, DL. Americans can't afford to live in America. That's crazy, man.
And Brother Law's got he got the math on the whole thing. He got to see it from the inside, and it's crazy. And then you add to that what we do in the court system. You know that there's a federal law that states, like let's say that you're a single dad, you don't have custody of your kid, right? You lost the battle. They can there's a federal law that says they can take up to 60% of your paycheck, your gross.
Yes.
Like, see, that's the law. And it's like, and it's 50% if you have a child. How is that? So you a single parent, you got a kid, but you're dealing with a wild baby mama, and the court system is taking half, really it's like 55% because they could take additional 5% if you're in arrears.
Yeah.
It blew my mind when I read that.
What do you mean? That's the state by state. You mean federal law?
It's a federal law. Let me find it for you. I'm gonna send it to you.
No, I don't believe you. I mean, but the state is the one who taxes you. So you're saying the federal?
Yeah, but it's in the confines of the federal. That's the
So what it is,
the guidelines of the federal.
It's all under Title IV. So like the guidelines is all pushed by the feds. Listen, y'all know I'm not a Trump guy, but if I had $10 million right now, I could get all that changed. I'll drop $2 million over here, Mar-a-Lago, $5 million, wherever it takes. Hey, Trump, I just need you to sign this. We're gonna do away with Title IV. It all changes tomorrow because the states will no longer have incentive to write these orders for child support. The state gets like 66 cents for every dollar.
Yeah, but it can still change though. It can still change because collectively we have $10 million collectively. Even let's dismiss the women out of the equation.
No,
brothers have $10 million. We just need a representative.
Yeah, he said, "I go there, bribe."
I get what you're saying.
Let's go bribe Trump.
No. Listen, we have the money. We have the money.
I agree with you.
And each state can regulate its own amount. Like federally, they can take up to.
Well, see, here's the thing.
I seen where you was going with it, Payne, when you said what you just.
Let's go bribe Trump. Yeah, man, that's what it is. That's what he's talking about. But listen.
That's not a bribe. That's the cost. Trump put it out there. It's $5 million to meet with him tomorrow.
These are the avenues. These are the avenues. Child support, marriage laws, all that shit. These are the avenues where men across the diaspora, no matter what race, we should have coalitions of men trying to get these laws changed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, and I just think that the reason why they're all fucked up is because. When my last white friend I have, right, I had to get on his case. I said, "You motherfuckers conquered the world, killed everybody in your path, and just in the last 50 years, y'all let the fucking women take over the goddamn country."
You did not tell them that.
They're voting, man. We don't have no say in nothing, man. And if y'all blame this shit on black men, I tell everybody the country's fucked up because you white guys are pussies.
Yes.
Oh, y'all, I mean, how did y'all let this shit happen?
That's why I tell a lot of people, have you heard how white men talk? Oh my God, they sound like bitches.
Shit.
Oh my God.
They got a whole Democratic Party. They got to pay $20 million to find out what a man is.
But hold on though, for real, I want to clear the air here. I wasn't taking a shot at Trump. I was just trying to make a point. I was just trying to make a point that we have a president in office who's basically just making it transparent what every other president has always done. Like Trump ain't doing nothing his predecessor hasn't done. He's just keeping it up front. I
definitely understand. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I wasn't taking it personally, man. It's just funny.
Well, not for you. I was thinking anyone who might be watching in TV. Because I mean, I'm not a Trump guy, but I would. Boy, if I had the money,
smarter than the average Bell. So you know.
Yeah. But I put it in the back chat.
Come back and watch us.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So I always thought that a lot of shit was because that's what the state. So the state laws are different everywhere, but they all feed down from the federal statute. That's what
yes, sir.
But it all boils down to Title IV. And again, here's the thing. I love this technology, man. We got all this knowledge right here, yet we still don't know shit. Like we still don't know it's right there.
That shit is crazy.
The truth of it just depends on what you want to look up. It just depends on what you want to look up.
Stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like your interest, man. This is the thing where I kind of like with a lot of conversations. I'm kind of like when we start talking just this whole black, white, and all of these different things. I kind of like I'm dismissing myself from those conversations now because I'm man. When I hear black dudes like DL and R. Payne, Coach Ferg, Laws, when we get to talking, man, and especially when we are exposed to just America. We're exposed to we know all the shit that people be saying, the racism and all this stuff when it comes down to capitalism and all these different things. The conversation has to be at a point of where do we fit in, right? I know where I fit in. Like speaking to DL, he knows where he fit in. He's already been there, right? He knows where he fit in. He understands that there's opportunities. When I hear our pain, he knows that there's opportunities. And when we have these and we mix in with people that have this defeatist mentality, the conversation, we keep missing each other because we're like, why are y'all still there? They're back there. And it's like, we've already elevated. Did you get the memo? Did you get the memo? Because if I indulge into your conversation, now it brings me all the way back from where I've already elevated from, and the conversation does nothing for me, right? And this is with a lot of black men, where we end up kind of dismissing those type of things because we understand capitalism, socialism, we understand racism, we understand all the isms, but we also understand that you gotta swim. Your ass gotta start breaststroking and you gonna have to start swimming backwards. You gonna have to start learning a whole lot of skills in this America that we have. And there's guys out here that can show you different ways to do it. And I think we do a disservice, not us as on this panel, but as Black folks, we do a disservice to the younger folks. They've adopted a lot of bullshit that they had no idea about. And they just parrot, all of them, they just parrot this bullshit. And that's why it's refreshing to see young folks that we talk to 35 and down, right? If you 45, I can't do nothing for you if your ass is already there. But when you already at that spot where you like, okay, I need to have something in life, or I'm having something in life, but I'm here. We can have a real conversation now. That's the problem that we have with the ones that sit back and they talking about, bullshit. I'm talking about real bullshit that keeps us just bogged down, arguing over shit that does not do anything for our life. And it kind of hurts us too. It does a disservice for us, right? Me and Coach Ferg, our pain, loss. We'll go on these other panels, man, and they talking about shit that kind of it keeps us bogged down. And we're steady trying to say, but it's not that anymore. And they would argue us down. Our pain, what do they do? When you tell them, they get to talking about this whole thing about women and men and marriage. You like, look, I have a successful marriage, but I put the work in. And then you would tell them, this is what I think as a man. Like, we hear you, right? Our pain, you said it earlier, Loss. Our pain has some of the most memorable points. We got his shit on the most, the best thing, the worst thing a man could do is turn down some willing, that shit is some real shit. It's some real shit, right? That's why we kept it. That's why Black Man kept it, right? Because what you're saying is something that can elevate us. But the thing is that when we get to having conversation with people that want to stay where they're at, having these conversations of just their surfaces of conversation, it kind of does a disservice to all of us if we indulge in it and gets to a point where I need you to come up here, brother. Like what you were just showing earlier, the women that were speaking, the way that they were speaking.
Yeah.
We understand exactly where they're at. So we break it down a whole different route, right? Who we talking to, right? We've always asked that. Who we talking to? We talking to our audience. And our audience are people that's a lot younger than us. I didn't even realize until I started looking, damn, 38, 35, 28. They way 25. Younger than us. Yeah. We ain't got a whole bunch of 50, 55, 60-year-olds that's listening to us.
We got like 165-year-old who listen to my channel.
right.
25 to 55. You know what I'm saying?
and so we understand who we're talking to. One of the things I loved about, and I still love about what DL does, he has a whole different way on how he approach, subjects that he talk about. Right. I was just talking about you, DL, like a couple of weeks ago to a bunch of young men. They were they're trying to find how to have a career, right? They got all these jobs, but they trying to find. I said, I got a homeboy that talks about being an air traffic controller. And he talks about how to get into it, I was just telling them, and these guys are in the South, they in Arkansas and Florida. And I said, man, I guarantee, and I'm glad you showed up because we're going to have to speak on some shit, man. I want to get these young men to a point of how you guys want to get them. And I'm talking about, these ain't no 19-year-olds. These ain't no 20-year-olds. These motherfuckers are 28, about to be in their 30s and stuff like that. And they want careers. They like, man, I don't think I'm smart enough. And I'm like, y'all still talking that crazy shit? Be resourceful. That's what being intelligent is. A person that can grab the intel, right? It don't matter.
Be fly.
Go ahead.
You want to be fly, JT. You remember those little houses I was showing you? What to be fly? We had those already here. And our guys built those.
Yeah.
And sold them here. You know what I'm saying? That would answer a housing question that needs to be answered.
Yeah.
Some people don't need, a big, 45,000 square foot home or something like that. Some people just need somewhere to watch have somewhere to sleep, cook a little something, and have more yard to grow and all this other stuff. And decide if your family get bigger, just go and build you another pod. And now you got you a compound. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
That
but that way of living right there, let me tell you, that way of living is for people that had the money. They had the big houses. They were having, and they like, listen, I'm not working the way that I was.
Cash, bro.
Yes. So guess what they're doing? They're downgrading. Most of these folks that end up having these lives that were a little lavish, you know what I'm saying? When they get older and get to be senior citizens, they like, I can't be walking up and down these goddamn stairs no more. Why do I have 5 fucking bathrooms and 6 bedrooms? Why do it is just us? Our kids that moved and went to Florida. Our kids that moved and went to why are we still living here, right? This is what they be thinking. And guess what they end up doing? Moving into some shit like that, getting a RV. And then they go
time and stretch,
man, because it's all about living practical at that point. And I'm telling you, even at the age we at right now, you would be amazed at the way that you will actually enjoy life when you live as practical as possible.
Jason,
that's crazy.
Let me ask you a question. What would it look like if you had a younger couple who started out the way these old people ended up with a smaller home? And they would take the money that they were actually getting from their jobs and invest in that into their retirement. What then would their retirement look like if they actually live frugal from the beginning all the way to the end? You know how much money they would actually have?
That's crazy.
Think about that. Think about how many opportunities they could actually provide themselves with starting new businesses and stuff like that. To have a business that builds homes like that, to employ brothers like that. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing.
So what you just said was
they will learn.
But what you just said was, what if they live in simplicity? We start out living complicated because we want the big shit. We won't listen. You got a 19-year-old think he can get a Bugatti.
Exactly.
And live in a $400,000 mansion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if it goes to the way that you just said, frugal. Because it used to be that way. You got a one-bedroom apartment.
A $12,000 house. We just showed you as is, fully furnished and everything. Imagine what their life would look like if they had no mortgage payment. They had no rent payment. Only thing they had was utilities and insurance, and that was it.
$35,000, they be living nice.
That money will stack up real fast, And
they ain't got to keep chasing shit that they ain't gonna never get, huh? How about that?
And then on top of that, they all decide they want to talk trash to them,
Yeah, and they can accumulate. And they can accumulate by the money, the experiences in their careers and things like that. If they want to be a real entrepreneur, not this bullshit that they talking about, someone that can actually put some money into their business, a small business that turned into a Fortune 500. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That makes a lot more sense. So it's not actually the economy that's fucking us up. It's the mindset that's actually fucking the people up, bro.
Correct.
But
damn, that shit makes a lot of sense.
You need worker bees, bro. That's what they need. There
you go. That's what a war is.
The top 1% controls the world. I think
man.
Peace, brother. Someone was saying that Elon Musk's wealth, his net worth, is equal to 51% of the rest of the country's wealth combined. So when you're looking at it, you got to serve that dude. That's the thing. They don't want you to be a thinker. They stopped educating America after the Second World War. They don't want. Think about it. Our aunts and older cousins, when they went to school, you give them an empty map, bro. They can draw the continent of the United States and list every state and the capital of the state, every single state. Right, you give them a map of the world, they could feel they knew where every place, every country was in the world. That was the standard. Now today, My daughter's a junior in high school. You
No,
know who taught her?
You had to.
Right, I teach her. I got a map. I ordered a map on Amazon. I put this big old map on the wall right outside her door. So whenever she come out and we riding around, we talking, name 3 states, name 3 cities, name 3 countries. And it's funny, people get on me, but I was like, you know what? I was watching Fresh and Fit that one day when they asked the girls to name 3 countries and the women sitting around the table couldn't name the country. And I called my daughter.
Couldn't name a fucking country.
Couldn't name it. And I called my daughter in like, and she couldn't do it. And it's like, okay, we're going to work on that. Now, my daughter used to panic. You could see her breathing hard. I'm like, just try. And now she can rattle them off. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I agree exactly what you're saying. And the thing is that the association with it, like my daughters, they're a little bit older, a lot older, but they travel, right? They come home. I got one she's in nursing school. She graduated from regular college, got her bachelor's. Now she's in nursing school in Arkansas. She's there, one of the, it's one of those top nursing schools that she's in. But she ain't got no problem with getting on in her car and driving, right? We look at the map. How far is St. Louis from Arkansas? She be like, oh, well, shit. Because we trying to get planes and, shit like that. And it's hard to fly into certain parts of Arkansas, right? You're like, well, okay, why don't you just drive to St. Louis? Why don't you drive to St. Louis? That's only, a couple of hours away. And then you catch a plane because the plane is going to be cheaper. And they're looking at the map, bro. They're actually looking at the map. They know the United States because it's association. The problem that we have in America now is that just what you just said, DL, because I did a show on it last year when I said, these motherfuckers don't even know where they stay at. They don't know the difference between a state and a country and a continent, right? Yeah. And it's like, it's the association. Right. It's the association.
Ask my daughter to find the Atlantic. I find the Atlantic Ocean on the map. Yeah. I'm thinking it's 2 big bodies of water right there. It's 50-50.
Man, listen, I broke up with a chick who got a bachelor's degree and could not show me where Africa was on the map. I was like, you got to go. Yeah. You got to go.
You got to get the hell on.
But here's the thing, and Coach Ferg, I'll let you cook after this. But here's the thing. I think that's by design. Yeah. I really believe that's by design.
It has to be because it's successful.
All the wealth cannot be up there with the 1% if people. It wouldn't be like this if people understood if they had education.
True. But brother, you and JT, y'all speak from something that's dynamic, and I've been saying this, man. The default mechanism to teach is coming from both of y'all, the parent, the father. Mm-hmm. I taught my son, what is it? Because you said something unique about how you taught your daughter. You settled down. It probably didn't take you nothing about 2 or 3 days, and she would. But see, again, I had to teach my son multiplications. I sit him down. Look, you're gonna learn 1 through 12 like I did. Ain't no 6th grader go running around here don't know the multiplications 1 through 12. You gonna get it. Sit down. You can cry about it. I'll bring you a snack, a juicy juice, whatever. But we gonna get it done.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on, Coach Berg. You didn't let him write his little triangles and his little stars and get his toes out and count up.
Hey, learning. Listen, there are methods that I'm always take with me. Learning your multiplications 1 through 12 is one of those top priorities when they come to that education in math. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden he's good in math. Ooh, I like. Yeah, okay, good. But you was crying a week ago. I know, but again. When the messages don't come from fathers in a sense, because most brothers, when we there with our child and we seeing that baby, we ain't gonna let our child fail. We're gonna treat that shit just like the military. You're gonna practice, you might fail, but guess what? You're gonna get some remedial training. Yeah. Come on over here, sit down, let's get this out.
Isn't that love? Isn't that love?
Man, that's unconditional. But here's the thing, by that system sort of being in the middle of us, mm-hmm. by default, we are already separated. And hopefully, again, I think it's going to take a joint effort to sort of get some of those laws changed, because people don't realize how much money is going to waste over that 18, 20-year period when you paying child support, It's a lot of money being lost out of a man's pocket. And now he's 40 years old, starting to take life a little serious, but he still owed $20,000. They're gonna get that $20,000.
Shit, 45,000, 50,000.
There's no certifications. There's no passport. They can suspend your licenses, and you can sell jail time, and it never goes off the books until it's paid.
And subsequently, you can lose out on jobs.
Yes.
But you know why that is? I put it in the chat right there. Because they get $2 for every $3 that the state spends on these programs. It's the money.
Right.
Take the money away. And guess what? The state will look these women in the eye in court and be like, you shouldn't have had the baby. Next. Because if they're not getting paid to enforce this thing, it's not going to get enforced. And I'm not saying that should happen, but what I am saying is, like you said, I know people who are going to be paying over 18 years around $420,000 for one child, because it's based on your income, right? So it's, and I'm a retired air traffic controller, so we're dealing with people who are making, 150, 250, 300,000, depending on how much overtime you make. So when they run the numbers, that's how much you're looking at over 18 years.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have a problem with it per se if 2/3 of that money went into trust for the child.
Yeah.
Right, and it's illegal in certain states, in some states, to even question where that money is going.
Yeah.
Now, if it was, I would look at it this way. If it was more of the child was going to be the daughter, they would consider it. But you think about this: it would be a male that subsequently probably owed child support also. So it's just going to stay in the system anyway.
But here's the thing, brother JT, I'm telling you, the family court system doesn't care if you're a male or a female. They only care who has the money.
Believe that.
Yeah.
And that's the law. They don't. It just because historically the men have been the higher earners.
Yeah, I believe that.
Have been the ones who have been getting hit with the crushing debt.
Because it's more and more women that are starting to be on child support now. Yes, you are absolutely right. I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, and that's my whole point.
They dating down.
Yes, sir.
Is that what they doing? Is that what they doing? They down.
And remember in the other podcast, I said that marriage is a bad deal.
Yeah.
Right? Because child support is bad enough, but spousal support, alimony, you're paying alimony until that person gets married again or dies.
Man,
they get a part. They get a portion of your. They get a portion. If you have a pension, they get a portion of the pension.
You know what that portion is?
And the right goes first. That's only if you marry a piece of trash.
50% of your pension, bro.
There you go. Also, it's crazy because I got some friends that owe, right? And I used to always say, man, listen, get in on the ground level, start paying for your child early. They starting to put it on your what's it? Your credit report.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
On your credit report. Mm-hmm. And listen again, man.
Mr. Ferg, you have 3 kids on your credit report here, sir.
Exactly.
Man, I don't.
It drops your credit score 30%.
Jesus,
30 points. 30 points.
It never goes away.
You borrow no money.
But here's the thing that, and I was great. Now I remember. If a mother is not on welfare and she's just getting the child support, they don't pressure you. They'll let you just rack up the debt and be like, oh, yeah, we'll get them. They'll just come out to your taxes and do it that way. Mm-hmm. But if she's getting anything through the state, if she's getting insurance, man, let me tell you something.
That's when your license is in state.
You can be on a boat in the middle of the ocean going down. There's somebody go catch up with you and say, hold up, before you go down, hit you with this tag. You don't need to pay this child support. How would you like to pay? Cash, check, or money on it?
Right. And we need all of it.
All of it. So it's a bad deal, man. Brothers, protect y'all seed, man. Start charging women to have your babies, man. Make them pay you $50,000.
Well, here's my controversial take of the podcast, and then I'll go. But I think that young men at age 18 should be allowed to have a state-paid vasectomy. You can go and get it, state-paid. And then when you build yourself up, you became the man you want to be. You know, you can get it reversed, or if you can't get it reversed, they can just take out some of your sperm when you're ready to have your baby. But I think that unless we change the laws and say that women don't no longer have the right to choose, because men don't get a choice. I'm like, men, you know, you can't have and not have a child. I understand that. But the final say rests with the woman, kind of like what Kevin Samuels was saying. And unless we're going to have the legal option for men to opt out, then I think the men should be allowed to have a vasectomy. Should be like, well, we're going to fix it to where you can't slip up.
Now, I think that's fair, though.
I think they should probably have their own government issue women, you know, the ones who know how to do right, you know. It's easy to do that, you know what I'm saying?
No,
she gotta go to military style women's school.
You
Come out.
Your wife, sir.
But that option, that should be an option for if they're not going to do the other option. That should be an option. Yeah,
BBL sold separately, sir. You know, you got to pay extra for that.
That is hilarious.
Scratch and sniff.
BBL not included. Wow.
BBL not included.
BBL not included.
I got an event tomorrow. I got a networking event tomorrow, so I better give me some rest so I can get up and get there and set everything up. But
we've been
always a pleasure talking to you, brothers.
It's always a pleasure, man. And DL, I'm you still on you on IG, right?
Yeah, I put it in the back chat. I put I really want to know podcast, all one word. That's my Instagram. Tell those brothers, bro. I put the video for how to be in air traffic controller in the back chat. They got any questions, bro? Like, bro, I'm gonna say this, and I really gotta go. I told y'all, what was a year ago, 2 years ago. We put this message out trying to get as many brothers and sisters in the business as possible. And you know who we putting in? You know who's coming to hit me up? It's some white boys, some great boys getting in there. And you know what? I'm trying. Look, I'm not gonna. Hey, if you here to take the knowledge and get in, is one of my. I call him my nephew, white boy down here. And down here in Florida, he was digging ditches, man, putting in AC units and stuff like that. Now he's an air traffic controller in Louisiana. He went from making $25,000 a year on a good year to he's on track to make $250,000 in the next year.
DL, the one that I have in mind right now, he's in the reserves and he works HVAC right now. He's and my whole thing with him is we're going to get you where you can get that bread.
It's on. And guess what? He said, well, I'm not smart enough. Well, try it.
He's from Louisiana and he moved to Arkansas.
Try it. Let the FAA tell you can't do it. Go out there and try it.
Let them, right. Don't be afraid. That's my whole thing. Let them tell you no.
Baby. You know what I mean?
So, hey, hit me up, man. Tell them brothers to hit me up. I will help them to the fullest of my abilities. I got you. Help. I've had people hit me up, strangers I ain't even heard of, I don't even know, hitting me up talking about, thank you, I watched the video, and I'm in the FAA now, thank you.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You came to mind, man, a couple of weeks ago. I was just like, my man, I'm glad you came up, bro. Most definitely.
I'm back in these trenches, guys, so I'm going to get y'all up to come over to my platform so we can do a little something over there as well. Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
Man.
Most definitely.
I'm subbed, man. I'm subbed up, man. Right, bro. Salute, man.
Most definitely.
Peace.
Fellas, we're gonna get up out of here, man. If y'all enjoyed the show, make sure y'all hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit share on the after hours of the Barbershop. Thank you for coming out, DL Saint. As always, JT from the What We Know podcast, Coach Fur, you know what I'm saying? 100 watts, we know who's watching, and all those in the chat that's watching from here to there. I appreciate y'all, man. If y'all have any questions, feel free to hit us up in the DMs, you know what I'm saying? If you want to reach out to DL Saint, make sure y'all reach out to him on Instagram, man, so you can go ahead and get that paper. So one day you can lean back and you can get you some of that.
Oh, you got to give him that hawk too and spit on that thing.
Hey, man, we up out of here. Peace.